G'day and welcome to Inforunners. I'm Execute. Today we're joined by Jorunn and Algared. How you boys doing? We are now live.
Doing fantastic.
Live on YouTube and Twitch. It worked.
Yep.
Cool. Apparently I do know what I'm doing, which is great. Yeah.
That's the first time we've actually had it go forward without any glitches, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good. Well, we are an hour late though, so maybe I'm prepared this time for a change.
That's all my fault.
No. Definitely my fault. Just had a few hiccups, but we're all good. So yeah. So
we're like Star Citizen.
Yes. But
it wouldn't be an episode if we didn't stuff it up.
So no ISC this week, but Jorunn has been wanting to come along and chat with us. So we'll be talking to Jorunn. You want to specifically talk about some bosses and stuff, yeah?
Bar Citizen, absolutely. Bar Citizen is my life, despite all the other things that I do in Star Citizen.
Well, it'll be my first Bar Citizen next weekend, which will I'm kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm a bit hesitant. I don't know, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that next weekend. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah,
Citizens are usually pretty. If you haven't been to one, they're usually lots of fun. You do meet interesting individuals.
Well,
so yeah,
I've always thought the appeal. Hey, Starlet's just dropped onto Twitch. I always thought it would be kind of cool because, like, I always remember, like, you go to a party or something and you got to navigate the room and find the people that are into the stuff that you're into. But something like that, everyone's into something that you're into. So you just walk up and go, "Hey, what's your favorite spaceship?" And you're off. You know, there's no awkward moments there. So yeah.
The awkward moment is when they say Drake is awesome and your ship sucks, and that's the worst moment.
Yeah.
I think most people generally. I think the whole Drake origin thing tends to be a little bit more, a bit put on. And by all of us, it's just. I think Drake makes amazing ships. I think they're visually super interesting and very cool and very creative. It's a great design style. It just doesn't personally appeal to me. And as the whole fun goes in the community, that Origin people have to make fun of Drake people, and Drake people have to make fun of Origin people. But I think that's what's beautiful about having 180 plus spaceships and
that's actually
a dozen different manufacturers.
Very poignant to something that Space Tomato once said to me, and it's kind of stuck with me. He said, if you like, for this game to kind of be successful, there's going to have to be things in it that I don't like.
Yep.
And he's so true. Like if it's going to cater to everyone, they are going to have things in there that you don't like. And you know, I don't like any specific manufacturer. I'm a bit more of a function type of guy. So there are, like, my apparent hate for Origin. Like, I don't hate them. I just want them to do more. You know.
But I think a lot of people find that an easy thing to make fun of. Because so much of what Origin's ships are for, their use, their value, we're so far from seeing that in the first, like the 890. Everybody says it's the most useless ship there is out there, except that you've got the Reclaimer, or we used to say the Starfarer, but at least the Starfarer carried cargo. With the 890, we had like 30 SU of cargo for the longest time, and they finally fixed that to 100. But we still don't have like 450 or whatever.
The cargo holes cargo still doesn't work, which is a great frustration.
And the fuel was a complete mess. So I mean, and lots of things that in the future it will have utility and use, but right now it's really more of a, it's a little flying base if you want to have some other ship side. It's the only real carrier that we have, because the only other internal hangar ship is the Carrack, and the biggest thing you put in that is a Buccaneer. Or an Aurora.
Yeah.
So as an Origin owner, I've got to ask this then: how did you find the Banu stuff that came out recently, the Merchantman stuff?
Love it. I've been a big fan of the alien ships for a long time. I've owned 2 Banu Merchantmen for years. Looking forward to that. It's going to be my money making ship, so I'm probably going to spend a lot more time in that than my 890. And I have no interest personally in the shops. not interested in that part of the ship at all, and I just wanted one of the largest cargo ships that could land on that was designed to land on a planet. And of course, the Kraken can land on a planet, but not going to be very efficient to do that with.
So me and Algared did an episode. Who was Badges there as well? No, it was just me and you, wasn't it? Yeah. So we did this episode called "Why Did CIG Evolve the Merchantman?" Because we got this kind of theory that it actually started as an 890 jump. And I don't know if you remember it, there's this old concept that we talk about in the video where they had this, they had the 890 jump with a shopping mall in it. And you can look it up, or I'll try and find it and I'll bring it up on the stream while I'm talking. But yeah, Algared, you take over while I find this image because I'm not going to
so the theory was that because there'd been a scene of the 890 jump with the shopping mall type thing, as the artists were doing, hey, this is possible, things you could have. But the 890 jump, sorry, not the 890 jump, the BMM kind of grew from being just the ordinary super fast clipper ship into the shopping mall that the 890 jump had been built as. And while I'm not as convinced as Execute, I think there is merit in terms of that thinking, because you saw the 890 jump go from clipper ship with kind of the crew having small areas of trade that they've built up to the 890 jump having a couple of shops to end up being a complete mall.
I've never seen or heard anything about any kind of shops in the 890. That's interesting.
Yeah, and of course now I can't find the image.
It is very
Oh, there it
early.
is.
That one there.
Yeah, there
it's
it
a
is.
very early concept image. So there was the idea of possibly some shops, possibly some this, possibly some that.
So I'll just hang on. I'll switch over and bring this up on the stream. So this one. And yeah, so this is a really early concept image, and it's, to me it makes a lot of sense because the name of the merchantman and the Banu culture, and as they were working things out, so instead of making this a module for the 890 jump, they morphed it into a whole nother ship and made it and brought the merchantman up to be able to do that. I think that's what happened.
Is there any signage indicating that some of that would be shops or anything? Because I always interpreted that as they were just facilities for the VIP transport for things for them to do on the ship, if you're using it as a VIP transport.
So this is one of the things where I remember it from the time. Good luck me ever finding it though. But yeah, that's what it was. So yeah, they talked about it at the time.
Like I think now that original one had those three doors at the top were your guest rooms, or where they were thinking this is where we could put guest rooms or something, and the bottom one was like the I think that has changed into that's kind of your shop, and I think that became the restaurant. So whether they were doing the whole mall type idea or whether it was another thing, it was just a concept image that kind of had that idea of there are shops on the 890 jump.
Interesting. I'd never heard that theory crafting about it in the workups. But yeah, it changed so drastically from the original concepts because it was such a small ship, really, compared to what it's become.
But that's the same with the.
It was tiny.
That's the same with the Banu Merchantman, isn't it? It was the Banu Merchantman was significantly smaller originally, but now it's a.
Yeah, the Carrack, the Banu Merchantman, and the 890 were all listed for 123 meters until any of them went into development, and the 890 ballooned up to 210 meters. The Carrack went up to 170, 175, then back down to 125, 8, whatever it is, and just got fatter instead of longer. So I always knew that the Banu Merchantman was going to be 890 size to be able to have all the things that it needed to have in it, very much like the 890 did.
Yeah, that was very much my view as well.
Surprised. And plus also Sherry said, I think back in 2019, that the Banu Merchantman was going to be gigantic.
Yeah.
Nobody believed me.
Yeah, I just think it's a real coincidence that there's 3 shops in this and then there's 3 shops in that, and yeah, it is very common for an idea to pass, like especially in development, to pass from one thing to another. And yeah, I'm probably grabbing at straws, but in the interest of time, maybe down the road, eventually someone will come out and say, yeah, that evolved into the Banu Merchantman. And it may have happened that way. It may completely be missing mark.
Wasn't the Merchantman before the 890?
Yes, but
Or were they
also
both a bit?
yes, but the Merchantman was also basically like the Raelian is now. The Raelian is the replacement for the Banu Merchantman. They both were essentially smuggling blockade type runner styles, and so because they've grown the Merchantman up to be so big now, the Raelians come back, that they reconcepted the Raelian, and that's the replacement for what the Merchantman was originally going to be. But because I think the reason the Merchantman was brought up to be what this is here is mainly because of the name. And the Banu culture as it evolved. If you think about how the Banu worked in the background, if you look at the original cop shots of Banu Merchantman, it looks more like a Vandal ship than it looks like a Banu that we know today. You know,
I think most of us that really like those early images were a lot more. We really wanted that a lot more to be the kind of look, because it was that kind of cool alien feel.
Yeah.
And as they developed the lore around the design, when they were working up the Defender, really went in kind of a different direction. But if we think back to some of the interior concept arts, like the one that we saw in 2017 of the interior crew corridor, where it was just really, really gold and ornate and engraved and that sort of thing, but I can see where the lore of the Banu aesthetic was leaning more in that direction than the aggressive, scary, spiky.
I'm trying to find the one you were talking about, but I know the exact one. Yeah, this one. You're talking about this one, aren't you?
It gave to me that image gave you the feel of the Vorlon in Babylon 5. It gave that.
The Vorlon.
Which I kind of liked. Whereas the early images, and I'd never really thought about it until you actually were going on about it last week, Execute, and that was that the BMM original images really did capture that Bandul style.
Just the spikiness and stuff, like that's where I went, you know. But yeah, I'm like everything in game development evolves, and they move to different places, and I just think like for someone that used to work in the industry, I saw a lot of movement like that, and yeah, things evolve over time, and I generally think that's what happened. But yeah, again, like you can never tell until down the road when they come out. I'm interested to see like the making of Star Citizen documentary, because like they obviously thought that was going to be like a 3-year project, and the whole thing's turned into this massive thing. So whoever goes back and eventually makes that documentary, there's going to be some really interesting stuff in there, I think. When all said and done.
A huge project for somebody to edit out 15 years of development.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. So we've got some people.
Now I do have I'm going to answer the first question we've got.
Before you jump to that, I just want to say there is no ISC this week, so we are only going to be taking questions. But Jorunn
and the very first.
Let me finish, please. Before we get into questions, Jorunn is going to talk. We're going to be talking to Jorunn specifically about Bar Citizen stuff. But we'll take a few questions before we get started on that. So
the very first question is a very easy one, and the answer is no. It's not just the BMM. It's basically any questions you want to ask. So Mike Smith says, "Howdy, folks. How are you going? A question specific to the BMM or specific to an area or a thing. Basically, we'll take any questions you want to ask us. We may not be able to answer them, but we'll you field the question. We'll try and answer it. So
we'll certainly bullshit through almost anything about Star Citizen.
Absolutely.
Definitely lower number of traffic this week though with no ISC. We normally we have a lot more people here, but yeah, very quiet week this week, which is or did we just start so late that we missed everyone? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, since there's a question. Are there images that take scale into effect and place the BMM next to other ships to see the new size? I don't think they are sticking to fitting it in the same hangar as the Carrack. I think the only way you could probably do that is bring it up in the fleet viewer. That would be
Yeah.
and it's
that is-
noticeably
So-
bigger.
It's the large hangar that the Carrack lands in is 130 meters. I actually interviewed
Yep.
John Crew at Austin CitizenCon because this was when the 890 was in early development. We're trying to figure out, well, how big is the 890 going to be? How big is it going to be? And he said it's like basically all the ships are designed around the hangar metrics. And the large hangar is 130 meters. And as we go beyond that, then we just go super big. And so the big the extra large hangar that the 890 lands in, which would also be the Idris and the Banu Merchantman, I think it's something around 250 meters thereabouts. So the Merchantman's just barely going to fit in the extra large hangar. The Carrack is tiny compared to the Banu Merchantman.
Yeah, it's if you look at what I've got here, it's basically becoming Idris Kraken size, which
Yep.
is
Mhm.
kind of scary.
But that was one of the
Why does
things that
Idris-
had been very early
Mhm.
said about the BMM as well. You know, I can remember Jared once guffing that it had become a Banu capital ship.
I just forgot a ship,
But
I have to.
But that comment from John Crew really does go back to what we were talking about with the Crucible the other day, where we were talking about the metrics in terms of a hangar. If all ships are being built for the hangar metric, then ship hangars are going to be the same because they're going to be
Yep.
using the same type of tech for the hangar.
Well, yeah, that's a part of it because they were like this one here doesn't do metrics. This was literally made for the Pisces. So I think they're just slowly, like as I said, Algared, I thought they would have brought in metrics ages ago, but they're just really slow to get going with metrics, and I don't quite understand why they've been so
well,
slow.
I think it's probably because they didn't know how much they wanted to limit themselves, and early
True.
on in development, three years ago, 2019, 2018. 2019 was when the Carrack was in development, and it's not that long ago, but it was far enough ago that we're still fairly early in development. That was shortly after 3.0 came out.
What's the saying in
2019?
politics? The saying in politics about one day, one day is like a
One day's
lifetime.
like a year, a lifetime.
And that's the
Yeah,
same in game development, isn't it? It's one year is like a lifetime. So much changes in terms of what you can do.
I do think with the Banu Merchantman you do have to kind of clip off the wings though, and I think when you do clip off the wings, it does get a lot closer to the 890 jump in size. I really do. The other thing, Jorunn, we talk about in the episode is if you actually chop out some of the features that are exclusive to this and the features that are exclusive to this, they are very similar.
And that's why I always theorized that the Banu Merchantman was going to be very, very similar in size to the 890 because from the early concept that we had of the shops, it looked very similar in scale to the Atrium in the 890, and then also the knowing that it was going to have a very large cargo hold, and I was thinking it was probably going to be maybe around 1,500 SCU or so. So if you take the cargo area of the Carrack and then triple it, then that seemed like it would kind of fit into that metric. But 2,800 SCU is just mad,
mind-boggling.
I love it. Super happy.
It's people used to say. I remember people used to ask Hayes, why have you got so many 890 jumps? And his view was, well, the armaments on it means it's the escort. It's almost, it's an escort ship that can carry cargo. Is what my memory says, and certainly that's how I've kind of viewed it.
Well, and the original concept page of Interstellar Splendor was the page where they really talked about the role of the 890, and that one of those roles was going to be for high value cargo because with twin capital components, shields, power plants, coolers, it's going to be very, very defensible. It would be able to defend itself well against torpedo attacks. One of our guys in the Jump Club interviewed Chris Roberts years ago, and he said like an 890 should have enough anti-torpedo defenses to fend off 2 or 3 retaliators fairly well to be able to get away.
Yeah.
And so that was what he had in mind many years ago.
That has been
Now a combat ship.
my kind of take on Origin is they are over defended. They're not actually really designed to fight. They're designed to. They're kind of like a safe room in a ship, so to speak. So they're just designed to get you out of there.
And the 400 really picked that up as well, with the turrets that actually really are covering the rear better than any ship. Their forward fire is probably weak compared to the rear firing ability.
Yeah.
You know, they can do the Picard retrograde really well.
And having a large shield is pretty solid for a ship that small, and it's fast. It's my number one runaround ship because it's so fast and good to get around the Versen.
There's a good question there that Alpha dropped. I think it's poignant while we've got the banner mention up, which says, do you think the BML will end up with a capital class component with its current size? I'd be really curious to know what component you think that would be, guys. So yeah.
My question is it going to get one or two? Because with the 890, it has twin power plants, twin coolers, twin shields, all capitalized. Is the merchantman going to get one or two?
So what he's kind of asking there is the bespoke one, because a lot of the capital ships, like the defining factor on most of the capitals, is they get a bespoke component. So the Reclaimer, for an example, its power plant is bespoke. For the 890 jump, it's actually the engines are bespoke. That you can't be taken out and they can't be switched. I would probably lean towards engines as well because it's an alien engine, but I could be completely wrong there.
And I will cut in and say thank you, Mike, for that wonderful, awesome coffee donation for us all. $10 woohoo!
Yeah, thank you for the super chat, Mike.
That's a coffee jump. So thanks a heap. Much appreciated. But yeah, the other thing with the 890 jump at the time was it was always said to be the fastest ship of its size. So, I always theorized the 890 jump.
I think that kind of goes. Wait, sorry, the 890 jump was the fastest.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's intended to be.
Yep, intended to be the fastest ship of its size. So to me,
I thought you were going to say the Merchantman, but then I was like, yeah, but the Merchantman's now increased like crazy. So yeah, it probably. I would agree that I would expect the 890 jump to be a little bit of that running, defending type thing. So,
yep. Yeah. And that kind of feeds into that idea that the 890 jump is meant to be able to take a hit, but not hang around and try and fight. You don't want it in your front line of a fleet combat. If you've got an 890 jump in the front line of a fleet combat, it's because you hit the bottom of the barrel. You really you're pressing it into service of the carrier or something that it's not really meant to be.
But Buck has an interesting question there. Do you guys pull those out and put those into your queue?
So we have a bot that if you put the word question in, it basically just automatically filters it out into Discord. So if you look in Discord, there should be a channel that you can see there called, I don't know if you
Stream questions.
Can you see that channel or not? You might not have the rights to see it.
I don't know. There's a lot of channels. So far
it's above. It'll be about 5-6 channels above called stream questions. If you can't see it, I'll give you permission. Hold on.
Yeah, and he didn't put the questions in brackets. So, but I definitely want to.
Doesn't need to be in brackets. Just got to have
need it for our thing. It just if it's got the word question, it sucks it into our bot. We love it for that.
I'll add your role to it for today. View channel. Save channel. You should be able to see it now. I just gave you permission. So
I see it over there.
The one with the red cubes are from YouTube. The one with the purple tubes are from Twitch. Yep, cool.
Okay, can I
and also thank you, Griffin Gaming RPG for that $10 coffee donation.
Good to see you.
My coffee addiction is going to be taken care of for the next week. Woohoo! Or the next day, I should say.
It does. What were we talking about? Geisha beans or some stuff before?
Geisha.
Yeah, it's got some fancy beans.
Yeah, Ecuadorian. I think they're Ecuadorian this time. Ecuadorian geisha beans. Not the top of the line. The top of the line come from a place called Peru. From Esmeralda, from the Esmeralda plantation, and they are.
So Jorunn, jump back to that question from Buck, and we'll do that one since you want to answer it, and I was going to answer it too, so I'll let you take it though. Go ahead.
Yeah, so how do you stay motivated? I've been a backer since April 2013 and slowly lost hope on the Star Citizen project. I I think so much of that depends on your expectations,
Mm.
and I, I'm lucky in some ways that I didn't start backing until the end of 2015 when
Mm-hmm.
the Persistent Universe launched. So I came in as we first got the PU and in 2.0.
Mm.
And the community really kind of has been my biggest
Yeah.
way to stay engaged
Mm.
and excited even during
Mm.
the slower times. I may be a little bit more community obsessed than most with Bar Citizen and everything else that I do.
Yeah,
But
you
but
definitely are more. I think I will say the community. Most of the content creators, it's the community that keeps you motivated.
but
But you are
but
definitely more than most.
it's a little more obsessive. But also the expectations of you know what it is that you're looking forward to and what your timeline expectations are. And
Yeah.
I think the people that came in 2012, 2013,
Mm.
2014, some of those people had an expectation of something much smaller and more limited,
True.
or Squadron 42.
Yep.
And then as the community said, it's like, no, make it everything you can possibly do it as much. We'll fund you unlimitedly forever, as big as you can make it, because this is the biggest
Yeah.
simulated
Yeah.
sci-fi universe. It's not a space sim, it's not a space game. They're literally building a sci-fi universe,
Yeah.
and the depth and complexity of that. And for me, I'm looking forward to, and I'm 52 and
Mm.
here in a couple of months, I'm looking forward to the next 20, 30, 40 years of this being my escapism.
Yeah.
And I've put not as much as Algared, but I put several $1,000s into this.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
I from my point of view, I started a lot earlier than you two, gents. So I started from the beginning, and I've said this to Algared a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. I'm actually looking for other content creators that are still here after all that time, and the only person I've found so far is Erad. But there must be at least another couple of us that have been here the whole. And you don't have to being a content creator the whole time, just being kind of in the background, and you could have started a lot later. But there's not a lot of content creators that I know that started back then and are all the way there. So it is hard to stay motivated. But the one thing I have over most people is I used to be a game developer, so I kind of understood the project and how it's evolved and grown, like you suggested, which is factual. I shouldn't say suggested; that's the wrong word. But yeah, it just has evolved. Like the project has grown and grown and grown, and as you said, it's this huge behemoth now. And when yeah,
and for me it was I joined in 2014. I'd been looking for a new space game. Finally found it. Saw the video of Chris Roberts saying, "Hi, you might remember me from such games as Wing Commander." And for me, that Troy McClure moment, that had me hooked. And I knew from what Chris had done previously in terms of pushing PCs or pushing the computers to their limit, that this was going to take time. And I saw that the questions: do you want us to, as Jorunn was saying, do you want us to stop and produce the game, or do you want us to keep going? And the community said, keep going. We will fund you. Make it as big and as awesome and as fantastic as you can. And Squadron 42.
That eventually went the other way, though, didn't it? Because those stretch goals, people go, "Oh, it's feature creep," So it's really funny how one person's, "Oh, let's just make it insanely huge and dream big," and then all these doubters came in, and it's the media in my book that closed the scope, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I think the stretch goals kind of died because the team said, we're getting beyond what we think we can do. We're now adding pets. We're now adding. What else do we add without going beyond that scope of what we know we can do? And I think that was part of the issue. But I knew that it was going to take. I knew it was going to take time. The second you start reading, the fan base is saying, make it as big as you can, add as much as you can. That changed the scope of the game. Like even Squadron 42, you look at that. The fan said, I can remember the fan saying, wouldn't it be great to have Mark Hamill, from Wing Commander, and John Rhys Davies from Wing Commander in? And then it was, get as many as you can get in. And CIG went, okay, we'll get as many as we can. And we've now got AAA content for the game in terms of the stars that are showing up.
I'm updating SC in the background, so there may be a little bit of lag just for a second. Wait up, it's...
And once again, Mike, thank you for that additional $10 for more coffee. As he says, you should have mentioned that it was coffee beforehand. Have another one on me, basically. So, thank you. I've got a full disclosure. I've got to say that we don't always use that just for coffee. We do use it to upgrade equipment, help the other members of the Inforunner team up to speed in terms of green screens or lighting or other things. And so
we're probably looking at getting a camera for badges. So if I can fix this, I'll get a camera for badges instead, because he's having some issues as well. So there's a membership there too from Randy.
And
Lom.
welcome Randy Lom as one of our members for YouTube. Woohoo!
Yeah, enjoy the emotes.
Yeah, enjoy the emotes. That's it.
I actually had to go in there. You didn't know this, Algared, but I had to go in and add extra badges for the, because I didn't realize it was like 1 month, 2 months. And then it turns out it multiplies out. So I actually had to go back and put in like 3 extra badges during the week. But yeah, so I got that all done. But yeah.
So enjoy those extra badges. All right, let's have a look.
Wait, that's actually... oh, I see what it's done. I see what it's doing. I've got that turned on, and I didn't mean to. I'll turn that off. There we go. Bang.
Okay, so here's another question for us from Aurelius Indomitus. He says, what will earn faster money? Oh, sorry, what will earn faster money when the game goes live? I think at the start with the Prospect or a Gemini, and then with enough UEC, the Orion making the bucks instead of the bucks needed for the BMM. I think if you're going, and I think my initial answer is if you're trying to earn up when you're aiming at those ships, that seems to me almost backward in thinking. It's just mind-boggling. It'll take forever to earn those, to earn that. But if you're looking at a Prospect or a Gemini, I would assume that's a tough one, because the Prospector could earn quite a bit with just mining. But the Gemini, with its ability to harvest fuel, refine fuel, sell fuel, and haul cargo, I'm gonna favour the Gemini over the Prospector.
Yeah. Switching screens around for you boys so you can see. Again, sorry. If you're wondering what was going on there.
Start with the Prospector there.
So what do you think, Jorunn?
Well, my goal is to have about 500,000 UEC in seed money when things go live eventually.
500,000.
I've got about
at the $5 US rate. That's a lot of money.
I've already got 300,000 UEC, so it's only another. What's $200 over another 5-6 years, whatever it is we have ahead of us. When I'm $8,000 plus in ships already, so it's like not that big a deal. But yeah, I want to have some seed money, but I'll probably start off with the Prospector, because it's low risk and it's really just a matter of time. It's a good profit maker, but I really don't know how everything's going to balance out when we get to that point, because right now UEC value and earning is completely meaningless. It's set very arbitrarily for the current PU, with no real tie-in to the economy or to the things that it's going to be spent on. So as we go through this journey on our road to live, then
look who's
have a better idea of what we're going to do.
Sorry to interrupt. Look who's on the PU. Crunchy's there. He's attacking me already.
Well, that's because you deserve to be attacked, but that's okay. Negativity has chucked us a $5 donation, which is awesome. But he also says, I'm extremely skeptical of the game at $9,500 in recent years, but the way they are handling 3.8, 4.0 has renewed my confidence, and that's a coffee for Jorunn, apparently.
Thank
So, yeah, hey.
Because I should probably go make an espresso after my tea.
But yeah, like, if you go in expecting the game to be everything you want it to be, you're insane. You're nuts.
Yeah. I think
Like,
I come back to that thing Space Tomato said again. I think like there has to be things in it that you don't like for it to accommodate everyone. It just really good way to put it. Sorry to interrupt.
There's no way that this game is going to have every single solitary thing that I want it to be. It'll have lots that I want it to be, and that's awesome. But if it was everything I want it to be, it wouldn't be everything that Execute wants or everything that Jorunn wants. And so you need to have that balance and split. So
I just want to show you this real quick. I know I keep interrupting, but see this panel on the PU? For some reason, Algared, the Amiga now has a white panel. I think they've redone this engine section in line with the box section on the other Amiga. I think they are now separate modules, and that's why this hasn't been retextured. Don't know if you noticed that, but yeah,
I hadn't noticed that. Yeah. But it'd be nice to actually have the Amiga actually be a proper different variant, like it used to once be.
Yeah, agreed.
I used to like when back in the day when the refuel of the fuel scoops really just refueled your boost, and you had limited boost fuel in your ship. The Amiga, because it had 2 fuel scoops as opposed to the Gamma, which only had 1, could actually stay in boosted fuel state almost indefinitely. It was a gorgeous ship to fly, and it looked sexy as crap as well. So.
Damn it! I thought I was actually at. Oh damn! I thought I was at Fringo. I'm not. Oh well. I'm gonna reland.
Okay, so next question. Alpha says, when do you think, going by your experience, the BMM will be finished?
Just real quick, Algared, after this question, we're gonna have to talk to Jorunn because I think he's got to go soon.
Yep.
So we'll have to do. Yep. So do this question and then we'll move on. Yep.
Quarter 2 next year.
Quarter 2 next year. There you go.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yep. I'm always happy when they take the time. If they take the time on the ship and they don't rush it, I'm always, the ship's been pushed back. Yeah, okay, cool. Because my experience says the longer they take, the better a ship is.
Well, look at what happened with the Carrack. Like, the Carrack came into CitizenCon, like, just a little bit unfinished, and people were losing their freaking minds.
Yeah.
And the 890 was released unfinished. I mean, lots of things that weren't working, weren't done. They literally rushed it out so that team could jump onto the Carrack so that they could have it ready to show at CitizenCon later that year.
Yep.
And we don't even have any sheets.
Yep.
My number one complaint.
Don't let me start complaining about the 890 jump. That atrium is so bad. It really needs an overhaul.
I do find the stairwell.
I think it's be a modular area in the future.
Oh really? I just hope they go back over it and make it more luxurious, like the Banu. Like the the Merchantman comes out and it was just instantly more luxurious. Like, and I'm like, this is what they should have done with the 890. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that the Merchantman's going to be more luxurious than the 890, but I think that's only in a very small area around the VIP section. The rest of it's not necessarily really luxurious. It's a cargo ship. It's a trading ship that has a luxury area. It doesn't even have a captain's cabin. It's not going to have a captain's features, control area, that sort of thing.
I don't really need that. Yeah.
You're looking at the BMM as a human, as a UE member. Get that thought out of your head. You've got to look at the BMM as a Banu. The Banu do not have that culture of having the captain's quarter. Their crew quarters are communal, and so that's what you've got. But the other thing is...
Humans will have to deal with that.
Yep. But part of it with the Banu Merchantman is also, it is a luxury ship, and it does kind of do the luxury and give that exuberant look better than an 890 in some ways. But the difference is it's Banu, and the Banu, to show they're successful, show off their wealth. Think of Donald Trump. How does he try to show off he's awesome and fantastic? He gold plates everything.
It's actually interesting how
disgusting.
You kind of mentioned that, Jorunn. It is cool that you can kind of have two luxury ships in different veins. So one is the one I don't know how to explain this, but like the 890 jump is a bit more showy. It's for the independent person, where the Banu Merchantman's more like luxury for everyone. I don't know how else to put that, but that's I can see where they're going there.
Well, I think the Banu Merchantman is a luxury cargo and trading ship, and the 890 is a private yacht. I mean, they're totally different purposes.
Yeah.
And if you want to just enjoy a holiday weekend, going to Goss or wherever, if you want to go to Cassel on your yacht, then that's what you'll take your 890 for. If you want to go out trading and have something more luxurious than a whole C or a whole D, then you'll be taking your Banu Merchantman. Sacrifice some cargo for comfort.
You do need to repair your Redeemer there.
Yeah,
you've lost the tail.
Yeah, I know. I was having a bug though with it, so I'm just going to take it to Lawville and I'll deal with it when I get there. Yeah, it wouldn't repair. PU was having issues, so yeah.
But yeah, I take the image for the 890 is that luxury for luxury's sake, as opposed to luxury for trying to show I am successful. And so the role of the luxury in both of those ships is totally different. So, but it was something someone had pointed out afterwards, and I started to think about it. I thought, yeah, that's actually it. It's one is for show, the other is for luxury. There's another thing I think I saw on one of the Discords, that I think the 890 Discord, and it was a discussion of luxury, and it was luxury should be able to do things my way, as opposed to just being told this is what it is. Whereas I think the 890, the BMM is more just in your face.
I think I honestly don't think at the end of the day the Banu Merchantman will end up doing the luxury missions. I think that is, again, I can see the niche that the 890 has there. It's completely, as I said, the concentrating on the VIP, as in concentrating on the renown of what because the Banu Merchantman's more for renown. It's a little different, so yeah. All right, so we probably should talk about this because Jorunn's probably gonna have to go soon. So Jorunn, where do you want to go?
Actually, I was saying that I'd be here at least a half an hour. It's like I can probably stay another hour.
That's cool. We can still talk about it now. So we'll just that's fine. So you want to talk about Bar Citizen? It's kicking back off again because obviously the whole world's opening back up again. I know there's already been a few. I'm booked to go up and visit Algared for the first time, and next weekend in Sydney.
That is awesome. That is so cool.
Because we've never actually met in real life. Well, we did, but we didn't know each other. So yeah. Anyway. Yeah, but so how is that kicking off? Like, are you noticing like a real uptake, or?
Yeah, no, it's been absolutely massive. So for the past 2+ years during the lockdowns worldwide, people weren't meeting up. But prior to that, we were having Bar Citizens all around the world, pretty much every weekend somewhere. When Bar Citizen officially started in 2013 in Austin, around the original studio, and that's been the longest running local Bar Citizen group ever since. But as the community grew around the world, there were a few places here and there, and there was a meetups area on the old forums, and people would say, well, hey, let's meet up somewhere and have a Bar Citizen, and then nobody ever actually checked the forum. So several months later, somebody would say, it's like, yeah, hey, let's meet up. And then months would go by, and then a couple of people would be able to meet up. And there were only a few places where that they were able to have a solid kind of core group. In 2016, so it was my first full year into Star Citizen. You guys remember Greyhead Gamer and his Not So Sober Saturdays? Both of y'all were probably on there at some point, right?
Yeah. Well, I
think
you and I talked about that when we talked a couple of weeks ago. But I used to hang out with Grey a lot, and I really liked his stuff.
It was my first exposure to an online gaming community. I'd never had one before. It hadn't really been in MMOs or online gaming, other than Second Life, which is really a different kind of environment. And I just thought that his community was great. He was great. I love the casual hangout style and talking spaceships, which I was falling in love with. And like by that time, I'd bought an Origin Complete pack. I'd bought the 350R. I was already like more than halfway to concierge by that time, 7 or 8 months in. And we both live in Florida, and he tapped me to try to put together a bar citizen for Florida. And so I went onto the meetup forums and went through like 20 something pages of these posts over the past many years, tagged 130 people, and said, it's like, hey, get in the Discord. And GHG set up a Discord just for Florida Bar Citizen for this event because he was a Discord person. And I was very new to Discord, and tagged all these people and said, like, hey, we're going to have a Bar Citizen here in a few months. I can hop in the Discord and let's talk about it and plan it out. And it grew and grew. And over the months leading up to that, we got up to like maybe 30 or 40 people we thought were going to show up in Orlando for a Central Florida statewide meetup. And DJ Knight, Twerk17 had just come back from Gamescom in Germany, so they had a big audience in the community. Captain Shepard, Sophie Girl, Greyhead Gamers. We had all these content creator personalities. So they were putting the word out, and everybody was excited to meet them and meet other citizens. And Sophie Girl got me in touch with Tyler, and he started talking about it around the verse. And we ended up having over 80 people show up to this event, and it was just absolutely mind-blowing. We just this massive group of people that you'd never met, but you were automatically friends with. Like you were saying, you show up and everybody has this, not just this niche interest of Star Citizen and spaceships, but everything that goes along with people that are in love with this project. Yep. I hate calling it a game. Star Wars, Star Trek, The Expanse, Marvel superheroes, Dungeons and Dragons, all these things that so many people share across our community. We're very like-minded people. Yeah. And we're space nerds. You might be a pirate, you might be a miner, you might be a combat person, but you love spaceships and you love these things, and it brings us all together. So when you go to a Bar Citizen, it's like you're meeting all these friends that you've never met before.
Hyper dense situation of people that you just a whole room of people are just like you. Yeah,
it's cool. And like we're saying, going to a party, going to like a Comic-Con or something like that. Yeah, they're all kind of nerdy people, but they all have different little niche interests, so you don't really know who is like your people. Yeah. But at Bar Citizen, everybody is your people.
Everyone's your people, even if they do have different flavors. And so you've got that crossover of your Expanse and Star Trek and Star Wars. But the one key glue that holds everyone together is the Star Citizen. I remember from memory, I think the very first Bar Citizen was actually 2014 in Melbourne, attached to PAX, and that was kind of put together by Osmonauts, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's where me and Algared met, but we didn't know each other. Yeah.
And I was helping out. The reason we know we met is because at that kind of Bar Citizen, I was helping out Osmonaut by giving out the flares. So I basically met every person who went to that Bar Citizen.
And I remember him sitting here like this.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all. But yeah, so. That, from my memory, is at least the first Bar Citizen, and I think Sandy liked that idea. I don't think it was even called a Bar Citizen; it was just a citizen meetup.
Is there any way to turn off auto land that you guys are aware of? Because I think the thruster's broken and it won't land. I might have to just auto. Cut the power.
I never use auto land. That works too.
Complete. Have a pleasant stay.
Yeah, cutting the power when you're down low, that lands you.
So after we had our big massive Bar Citizen in Florida, one of my friends who is the organizer in St. Louis, it's like, hey Jorunn, you should start up an international Bar Citizen and like take this worldwide. And So I started up an international bar citizen Discord for coordinators and started bringing in people that were already doing it. And then we put a group together to build the website, barcitizen.sc. And CIG was talking it up, and people would come to us and say, like, hey, how can I start a bar citizen? And so the first thing we do is we set up a Discord and we start pointing people in that direction. We put them on the website, and we've got over 60 Discords around the world now, which is just a huge communities everywhere you are. So even if you're not at an active event, you can talk to your local neighbors in your state, in your country, in your city, and maintain those getting to know these people, and then meet up with them in real life. And then sometimes you might meet people that live nearby. I've got one friend down here in Southeast Florida. He lives 10 minutes from my office, and we get together for a beer or coffee or lunch every few weeks, even in between the bar citizens.
Yeah.
So it's been a really rewarding experience to bring people together all over. And then things shut down, which was really hard, but we still had the Discord. So some of them really kind of died out because people weren't checking in on them real regularly, but a lot of them stayed very active. And when CIG announced in the chairman's letter a couple of months ago that they weren't going to have they weren't going to have an in-person CitizenCon, but that they would do the world tour, and then they announced that they were going to have official bar citizens at every studio city in LA, Manchester, Frankfurt, Austin, and Montreal. That got a tremendous amount of interest, and when they actually announced the date and the location, they gave people like 8 days notice, like almost no notice at all. But they still had over 150 people at most of those, and over 250 people in Frankfurt. And it was just a massive turnout. It's probably better they didn't give any more notice, because we would have been flying in from all over the country and other countries. I know
we're still
in Frankfurt people did.
We're still pushing to get them to get Chris Roberts to fulfill his promise he made on national television, but he would be back when they reach 200 million. So we're still pushing. I keep pushing CIG and just reminding them every so often that, hey, that was a promise you made on national television.
Yeah.
Admittedly, the interviewer said, well, we see you back, and he said, kind of cagily said 200. Maybe when we get 200 million.
One of these days.
One of these days, but hey, it was on national television, so that's
probably Sandy will before Chris does, but maybe she can drag him down there. I'm sure Sandy will before Chris does, unless she drags him along. She's got a good affinity for home. But so after they had those massive events and they had all that publicity around the community, and they announced they would be doing a Bar Citizen World Tour of going and visiting the larger regional Bar Citizen events over the next several months leading up to CitizenCon. And I don't know how long they're going to be doing that, over what span of time. And they haven't announced those locations yet, but I've been working with a lot of coordinators around the world, and we've got a lot of events that are close to 100 people. The Pacific Northwest, Central Atlantic area, in the U.S., the Florida Southeast. We've already got over 120 people RSVP'd for ours. Seoul, South Korea, they've got 100 people. China has over 100 people. Are
you finding people naturally kind of want to get out and about again, or is it they want to get out of gaming, or is it a bit of both?
They want to meet up again, because we haven't had any bar citizens to hang out with other people, and the community has grown massively. And we added 120,000 accounts. So we probably added 250,000 new citizens over the past 2 years, or 500,000 new citizens. Because I think we added 200,000 in 2020, and I figure we added another 200,000-ish, maybe more, in 2021. We've added over 500,000 people since we stopped having bar citizens, and these are all brand new, super enthusiastic, very positive people in the community that want to meet up with other citizens. So we've got so many bar citizens happening every single weekend, and more, and people are coming to the website and going to the discords. We've had so many new people come into all the discords around the world because they're just like, oh my god, there's a real world community of Star Citizens. It's not just a game. But yeah, it's super exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do have a question. I've gone down our question list to have a look at some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have a question that goes back to the 890, but I think it's specifically aimed at you, Jorunn, and it says, this is a question for Yacht Club, which I'm assuming is you. I'm an owner of an 890 jump. I bought the 890 jump for exploration. So why do other streamers try to tell me the 890 jump isn't an exploration ship? And that is from Black Dream Hunk.
I saw that question, and I think it's a great question because there were a lot of things that the 890 was originally sold for as a multi-role ship, from luxury touring, high-value trading, luxury exploration, command and control, and I interviewed John Crew at CitizenCon in Austin in 2018. We had probably 30-something people from the Jump Club there. It was a massive gathering of jump owners, which was super cool. And to clarify, the Yacht Club is open to anybody and everybody. That's our show that we do weekly on Wednesday on Twitch, where we review the week's news events. But the Jump Club is the exclusive community of just jump owners. So I interviewed John Crew, and he said, yeah, it will have similar exploration capabilities as the 600 Explorer. So it will have exploration radar. It will have a lot of those capabilities. Not going to be a Carrack competitor. The Carrack is still the best exploration ship out there. We can get into the Odyssey versus Carrack discussion on another day, right?
Yeah.
But
just to clarify, I've never not seen the Origin ships as look. To me, touring is just a fancy version of exploring. So, yeah.
And there are kind of two sides of that. The kind of hardcore exploration of going out into the black, far into unexplored space, however much of that we'll actually have, and finding things and discovering things and like going after those old lost civilization relics and things like that. Some people want to do that in their jumps because they just want to be in luxury while they're going out and exploring, as opposed to a hardcore exploration ship. And I have a Carrack, an Odyssey, and an 890 and a 600. So exploration is one of my top things, and depends on how I feel like doing it at the time. I like options.
And that's the thing with most of the ships in Star Citizen. Like, just because a ship is said to be X doesn't mean it can't do Y. So every ship, you will be able to do some form of exploration. Some ships are going to do it better than others. So an 890 jump, I did hear its radar is supposed to be on par with some of the Explorer ships. I at one point I heard it was going to be the second best Explorer in game just because of its radar suite. The fact that it's got the ability of a hangar, which means it's got snub ships, so you could have those small escort ships to go with it. The fact that it's got cargo does mean it's got that. But if you're looking at being a full-on hardcore explorer, it's missing the drones, it's missing the repair bay, it's missing some of it. But on the upside, you're exploring in luxury, you're exploring in comfort. And in some ways, it kind of...
Got a bar, a restaurant, and a pool.
Yeah, it kind of, in a sense, picks up that Star Trek Enterprise or the Star Trek kind of feel of the 10 forward bar. It's got that kind of feel about it. But I wouldn't say it's a primary explorer, but you can use it as that. The fact that it's got the command globe, so you could use it as command and control. You could use it at that, but it's not going to be as good as a ship that's specifically designed to do that. You could use it for cargo hauling, but it's not going to be as good as a ship that's...
That's it in a nutshell, Algared. It's like the ships with the modules where they can do versatility of things, but they're not good at something that's focused. That's 100% correct. I agree with that.
You know, so so yes, you can use an 890 jump for exploration, 100%, but it's not its primary purpose. And that, I think, is why a lot of people will tell you the 890 jump is not specifically designed as an exploration
You
ship.
guys know
or
more
isn't an
about
exploration ship.
the 890 than me, but does it have many computers? Because I'd say like it just can't retain as much
Yep.
data, for example, maybe. As an, it
Yeah,
does
it's supposed to have a lot of computers. I don't know if it has as many as the Carrack, but it is supposed to have quite a bit of computer capability.
Yep.
And it is also supposed to be highly automated, because it has one of the things with the Origin ship was it doesn't need as much crew. So it's not only is it a massive ship, but it also requires significantly less crew. One of the pluses for the 890 jump that I think really puts it up is that battle bridge. It is still the only ship we've got with a battle bridge. Where we're under attack, let's go to the battle bridge and control things. So, for me, that it's almost a position that's outside of what you'd expect on a luxury ship. But that's just, yeah.
All right, well, while we've got Jorunn here, I'd like to talk about some... Hang on, I will... Alt-tab, hold on. Multitasking! On the website, we were looking at this earlier. So we can substitute 3 people.
Well, while you're pulling that up,
No,
I've got a question.
I've already done it. I was that
Okay.
quick. Is the for some reason it is not switching over. Hang on. Oh, that's why, because I'm already on it. I gotta do it manually. Right. Is the Foundation Festival? And there was a couple of questions I saw in chat about the Foundation Festival. And it sounds like it's going to be as annoying as it was last year, because someone was mentioning that this year you've got to guide 50 people. I couldn't guide 1 last year, let alone 50. So that's pretty crazy. But yeah, I don't actually know where that is. But yeah, it looks like we're getting renown rewards. 1 successful guide session, at least 30 minutes. You get a Black Foundation Festival in-game, excuse me, beanie. 3 successful guide session, Turquoise Foundation Festival beanie. 6 successful guide session, Foundation in-game cap. Okay, so where's the one about 50? Someone said they had to guide 50 people in the question. Question was from Chaos Squall. Not sure it has been spoken about yet, but have you seen what you need to do for the Foundation Festival? It's almost impossible to find someone that wants to guide, let alone 50. Maybe he means 5 and he hit a fat 0. I don't know. But yeah, you need to do 1, 3, or 6. That's not so bad. But 6, I couldn't even get 1 last year because everyone was trying to do it. And when everyone's trying, no one gets it done.
Yeah, definitely part of the challenge here is that you have all these people that don't normally spend a lot of time as guides jumping in, and I don't know how people are prioritized, if it's just totally random, but people that spend all their time as guides and they do this all year long may not be able to get to these goals, because you've got thousands of other people jumping in just because they want to compete for these prizes.
Yeah.
I probably would have left it at 1 and just left it as 1, because that way if you go in and you do 1, you go out and then someone else can come in. I think rather than going 1, 3, and 6, they should have just gone 1, and that's it.
I think Jorunn's really picked up on a key point there. You've got guides who do it all the time.
Yeah.
And then this will just get everyone trying to be a guide.
Yeah.
And that means the help that they get is going to be subpar, or the help, in my opinion.
Yep.
Just because of experience of knowing exactly what people are asking.
Helping players, it's a different perspective that you need to remember what it was like to be a new player.
The other one you could have done is, how many have you done this year? You know what I mean? So if you've already done like a whole heap, you just automatically get it. That's where I would have been doing it. So one if you've done it at all, and then if you do 1 during the event, maybe you get another 1 or something like that. So yeah. Or back paying people, like almost like prerequisites or whatever you call it. So
you mean a bit like the old referral codes?
Yes.
Where they brought in referral codes after lots of people had already referred all their friends, so I think it's referrals.
Nice. Yes.
But yeah.
All right. Do you want to go into some more questions, Algared?
Yep. I'm going to ask this question from Sangroper, because it is a bar citizen question.
Yep.
And it says, so what happens when a bar citizen walks into a bar?
He is greeted by a fellow citizen.
You're probably greeted by a fellow citizen or asked to get a drink.
And I do want to clarify that it's generally not a bar. 90+% of the events are held at restaurants. Bar Citizen just happens to be catchy, and in Australia, y'all call it Pub Citizen.
Yeah.
Bar Citizen, actually.
We
Our
call
official Discord is actually Bar Citizen.
Oh, has it been changed to Bar Citizen? Because I know that there was a lot of conversations back and forth when JJ was really active with that. He was pushing the pub citizen label, and as he
we do pub crawls and stuff, but the official Bar Citizen Australia group, the Sydney one is we're calling a Bar Citizen, so I've never really called it anything other than a Bar Citizen, and
CIG calls it Bar Citizens.
CIG calls it Bar Citizen. I've always called it Bar Citizen. I know there's been jokingly pushes for it to be called Pub Citizen because of pub crawls and all the rest of it, but yeah.
I would say that we tend to bar and pub down here are pretty universal.
Yeah.
There is technically a difference, but to here it's pretty universal. And I mean that in the general sense, not in the Star Citizen sense. Sorry, I do need to clarify. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, so let's have a look at some questions.
Yep.
I'll just have a quick see if there's any more. But
Lots of questions.
all right, so back up to the top, and Alpha Indomitus has another question. Why do you think, going by your experience, the BMM... Oh, sorry, wrong question. Another question, do you think the BMM will end up having capital components with its current size? I think we answered that one and kind of said...
Potentially. I think it will. It'll be telling, yeah. I think it will.
Yeah.
Absolutely will, just how many?
Yeah, and I think it's, when you consider that it's a BMM...
Can you get a bespoke capital turret? Possibly. I don't know. They seem to be at the moment. So, as I said to Algared at the time, when they make something bespoke, it's for balance reasons. So they'll probably do it so you can't move something, so it can't be exploited or made it stronger. So, for example, how the engines in the 890 are bespoke, it's probably no one else can have that engine, and that's why it's the fastest ship, because it has an engine that no one else can get, so it's just dialed faster.
Yeah, but I think one of the things that make the BMM unique is the fact that it's a Banu ship, and when you look at Banu culture, when they need to band together to form an army, they don't have a standing fleet like we do, or at least the initial law was. They gathered together in a militia, so the Banu merchantman, being that family type ship, was the Banu's militia ship. So hence why this merchant ship is so heavily gunned, all the rest of it. So the Banu are quite unique in that sense. So moving on to the next question.
I love the Xian tech with it as well. Xian tech.
Yeah, I normally rail against the Xian tech when they say, "Oh, the Xian tech in the ship," but with the Banu, it's kind of, yep. And it's the same with that. Even the old aesthetic of it looking more Vanduul, because that's what the Banu do. They just take what they like of each race or each group they come across. Having that aesthetic didn't really go, oh, it's doesn't work. It just says, yeah, it's just Banu. They just take whatever they like. So yeah, I did like that.
I do also think that we're going to get a lot of changes to the exterior appearance of it. I think it's still going to be in this design style that they're going towards more than the Vanduul type, but I think we're going to get a lot more greebling on the exterior, because one of the things that is a challenge with a really large ship is if you don't have a lot of detailing on the exterior, you lose a sense of scale.
I think you and I will disagree there, because I would say that they're going to do it like the Defender, and they'll do it with normal maps. I think it will get that ornateness, but I think they are, the other thing, if you look at the Banu, they're a lot smooth. So if you look at we've only got 2 ships to go by, but they are very smooth, and they've got those kind of like angular lines, and then they end in a sharpness. So if you look at the Banu, it kind of has that round, the Defender, it's got the roundness, goes down the long elongated arms, and they just end like they've been chopped off. And I think you'll get if you look at the Banu, the way the wings work on that are very similar. So I think you're getting those elongated lines that just end. And I think it could be the same. It depends. It depends. Again, we've only got 2 ships to go on, so it could go what you said, or it could go.
And we're still in very early.
What does make me think it'll go the way Jorunn says, though, is the fact that when they were doing that view recently, I think Disco said to them, "You've got a lot of detail on this ship, and it's in grey box or white box. What's going on?" And they said, "Oh, it was Banu." And so we had to start putting the stuff in to get that look. So whether that means that's just going to be
there's different levels of detail. There's different
Yeah.
levels of detail though. So there's detail where it's greebles, and then there's details where it's just a texture. And what I'm saying is, I think it'll be a texture and remain flat. I don't think it will be like greebles are like what's on the side of a Star Wars ship, where it's up and down, and it's
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a lot of that, but there's going to be a lot of things that are going to provide a lot of detail and visual interest over the body of it.
Yeah, okay,
which is the
on
same
that
thing
we
that
agree.
we saw
Yeah.
on the 890 when we first saw that the 890 it had no exterior detailing, and everybody said it's like, oh, this is ugly. It's it looks terrible. It lost so much of what the original concept was. And then when it finally released, like, yes, that's a work of art. It's really just exterior detailing.
Yeah. But I think just that sense of that patterning that we've already got in the early stages gives an indication of what it's going to have when it finishes. And I can't see it being less, but I can see it being more.
But you will notice that everything that it does have right now is still fairly flat and smooth. That's my whole point. Yeah. So I think what we were discussing on. So the word greeble threw me off, because greeble is a up and down type thing.
The bits and pieces they glue on to make it look good.
Yeah, so, it's the only word that I can think of to describe where I think that they're going to go with creating more visual detailing.
Yeah, texture detailing. That ornateness, because the first time I saw a Defender, I kind of said it's like a Ming vase that flies through space, and that's kind of still relevant to now. And I the other thing they talked about with the luxury part of it is they show off how ornate they are. So I actually reckon they'll be, like, from a Banu perspective, different coloured Banu merchantmans. There might even be ones that have gold or diamonds or whatever,
Because they're showing off how successful they are.
Yeah.
You flaunt your wealth to show that you're successful, because in that culture, if you're a successful trader or successful whatever you are, you've got that respect, and so you're someone who can be trusted. Whereas if you're a nobody,
I'm just going to say right now, as an original concept, day one, you know how the Banner Merchant was available for 1 day? They better go reactively back and give me a founder's skin. Because that ship got shafted because a lot of the ships didn't have the original concepts. That was a thing that came along a lot later. But I had to buy it on the spot. I had 1 day to buy it, and I brought it. So I'd love a bit of recognition. Don't reckon I'll get it, but I'd love it if they did.
And there wasn't even an image.
Ready?
For sale, was there?
Execute. Thank you for your service in buying the BMM in that 1 day sale. There you go. There's your recognition.
That's all I'm probably
Thank you for your
get.
service.
That's all I'm gonna get.
Probably.
All right. Thuskell has a question for us. He says, what is the best industry money-making ship that wouldn't require too large a crew, in your opinions? Jorunn.
Good question, and it depends on what kind of industry that you like. I think mining is probably going to be one of the more profitable without taking a large dollar investment of your own, which, as we see now, it's like if you're doing cargo trading, you got to put a lot of money out to do that. Although I think that we'll get cargo contracts in the future, but they're not going to be as profitable as investing your own money. With mining, you go out, you invest your time, and you can make a pretty good amount of money in it.
30K. I just 30K. So.
I'm looking forward to seeing what other mid-size mining ships that we're going to see, because right now we've got the Prospector, the Mole, which is only a little bit larger, and then you've got the Orion, which is a monster capital ship. I think we're going to see a lot more ships in the sizes between there fill in over the years.
No, that's 100% true.
I'm going to actually go out on a limb for that question and say I don't think we've seen the best industry money-making ship yet.
Yeah.
Because I actually think it's probably going to be the refinery ships.
I do too. because all three.
I would agree with that.
So I don't know if you've seen any of our stuff, Jorunn, recently, but we're pretty sure that there's going to be mining ore, mining gas, and then salvage, and they all feed into the refinery tree. So the other way I could look at this is I could also look at salvage, and salvage is like recycling. So basically you get gas and you get ore, but you also have an extra step involved, which is the processing part to chop it up, then you hand it off to the refining. So they can kind of pull from both trees, but they've also got to do more work. So I would kind of say that salvage has got more accessibility, but a bit more work. So how do you define which is the most money? Well, they're obviously able to go to more areas more readily available, where a mine has to go to ore. Sorry, an ore has to go for ore, and a gas has to go for gas. So if you're talking about accessibility, does that factor into the success?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think that's finding those derelict wrecks to salvage is going to be a question, unless you're tied into an org that does a lot of combat. But I guarantee you that those orgs that do a lot of combat are going to have a very heavy reclamation and salvage arm.
Yeah.
To capitalize on what's left after all those battles.
It's weirdly all very balanced in a really good way. Like
although
yes,
although in terms of that response to the orgs who go into combat having the reclamation and stuff, if based on our experience of seeing what people have and orgs have when we're doing Fix My Fleet with people, that's probably not true. Like people do seem to go for that the ability to munch up something, but so many people leave off the repair and refit.
What was that one we did the other day? They had like a fairly large org, and they had 2 crucibles. And there was and they had like 30 carracks, and it was like what? Like
4 or 5 javelins and 8 or 9 Idrises and all that.
So repair could. I think what Algared's hinting at is repair could be very profitable, and I would agree with that.
I completely agree. Repair is going to be very profitable. I think there's a lot of different things that are going to be very profitable, and we're going to see a lot more ships filling in those medium to large multi-crew industry ships that we have very, very few of.
So, Jorunn, I got to ask the question then. Do you know much about how... Do you remember the prospector concept?
Mm-hmm. I bought it on concept.
So do you remember how it can mine underground?
Yep.
So by process of elimination, we have an Orion, we have a Mole, and we have a prospector. And the only one that does underground is that. And they've also said they're going to try and get one in every single slot. So capital, large, medium, small, and the one that's missing is the large. You have to assume that that's a ground miner, yeah? Or an undersurface miner, so it can land on asteroids.
It's a good question of whether or not the Mole can't mine on the ground. And we haven't really haven't seen what that's going to entail. I remember that really cool image of it just being parked on the ground, and the mining laser just pointed straight down. But what's to stop the Mole from doing that? And the next size up from that, we could have 100 meter or carrack sized.
I can answer that. You can't land with the 2 sides deployed on the Mole, and if you actually sit in that front cabin, it doesn't aim down, which also makes it weirdly balanced. So you get multiple people that can do surface mining, but in return you lose the undersurface mining. The prospector can do everything, but it's very, very small. The Orion can totally consume space, but it can't land at all. So this last miner is exclusively under the ground. And again, if you look at the 4 different ships, that makes it balanced. Everything in this game is very balanced. If you just follow that balance metric, you can logically almost work out what every ship does. It's very, very interesting. But anyway, that's something that we like. And the one that keeps coming back up is the tick miner. People keep bringing up the tick miner, but the tick miner is designed for one person, and it's got that really big bag on the back, so it also means it can't go into surface because of gravity. The bag would just snap off, and you're done. So
yeah, I don't know that that's necessarily going to be the case. I think it depends on how they actually end up implementing that. I'm very curious about the spider miner. That's
Yeah, that's the tick. That's the tick miner. They're the same. Yeah.
The Cygnus.
Cygnus tick miner. The nickname of it is the tick. So they're the same thing. So just so you know, we're on the same page. Yep.
I'd never actually heard of it called the tick miner, but I can see how that's appropriate.
Yep. Yep.
Most people have called it the Cygnus.
Cygnus. Yeah, it's a Cygnus miner. But if you Google Star Citizen tick, it'll come up. So yeah.
But probably spider miner also.
Actually, I'm going to be honest, that's kind of a little bit before your time, because what would you say, 2015? That was like 2012, 2013, that the first shots of those popped up.
Yeah, I saw those early images where it's like...
it was 2014 when we started to see images of the kind of the grey box spider miner, tick miner, whatever, against a figure, just to give scale. But I like the idea of that as being and that was a remote ship.
So just to show you, I just Googled Star Citizen tick miner, and it all comes up. So it's just.
And
look.
If you Google spider miner, you'll get most of the same ones.
I reckon you will too. Yep.
Just my first time to hear it.
Yep. Cygnus mining tick, and that's by I don't even know who did that, but yeah. Yeah, different names.
Let's see. Cascadian has a question for us. Unannounced vehicle and ship. Place your bets on what niche they'll fill, gentlemen.
What?
I refuse to speculate.
Where's this from?
Cascadian asks us, unannounced vehicle and ship. And then basically wants us to speculate what niche we think they'll fill.
Yeah, but where from? I haven't heard anything about a new vehicle or ship. So,
well, the monthly report has several ships in development that haven't been announced.
That's true.
We know that we're going to get something at CitizenCon IAE. That time of year, there's always an unannounced ship, usually a flyable and a concept. I refuse to speculate on things that are just like we have no information at all. No information.
Yeah. Too speculative.
There'll be 2 ships.
I do know we are getting the link soon. I think that went into concept.
Well, the other 2 that went in was the Apollo and the Crucible.
They're on the roadmap for some concept work, and some of those are next year. Doesn't mean that they'll go into actual production, but I think that we probably need to have repair ships in Pyro.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be important because there aren't any stations to repair at.
And it's the same thing with the medical. That's why I think they're both coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what the hell?
In the Foundation article. If you want to get all the skins, apparently you need to have do all categories and do 5 from each category, which means 50 skins. So in addition to these rewards, we'll award any exclusive Foundation Festival themed paint for 5 guide sessions in a particular category, plus the top guide in a category during the Foundation Festival will take home the ship as well. It's a 5 guide per category for skins, 10 per category, 10 times 5 because 50 guides is what Broken IO was saying.
That's really upsetting, to be honest. That there's some guy out there that does guides all year long, and then some content creator comes in and just takes a ship. That annoys me. That's they still don't know their community. That's sad. Anyway,
and I think I was saying also
that any random person.
Chances are, though, at 50, and it has to be within that guide section, you've got a much higher chance if you're a content creator, no?
And they were also saying
randomly assigned.
Yeah. And it seems that you also have to have a positive rating from your person.
Yeah.
Who's giving you that, so...
50's a lot. And what's the period? A month? A week? How long is the period?
I think it's for the week and a half or so of the event, the Foundation Festival. How long is the event? About a week?
we'll see, I guess.
That was from Broken AI, who was sent me an IM saying, "Hey, I'm watching your guide, but I wanted to clarify what had been said from looking at the start of that foundation page." So there you have it. So
No, not a single bounty. What the hell is going on? Alright.
well, because they love you.
No, they hate me. I'm just gonna park and get out. Go do something else. I was gonna take off, but no point. Alright, next question.
So I'm just looking at what AI's just said. He sent me another one. He says, when you ask for a guide, you get an option of 6 players to use as a guide. So so there's someone who obviously does a lot of guide work or other stuff, who's probably going to be shafted by the festival. Hope not. Okay, moving on to the other question. So I've just got to get back to our question page. Okay, so Alpha has a question for us. He says, do you think the BMM will end up with capital? We've answered that one. We think most likely. Namek has a question. Do you guys think we will have org hangars for stuff like the Orion, or OG hangars? I thought org hangars for stuff like the Orion. Huge shipyards from like ages where they will sell the capital ships.
So
Yes.
back in the day on Wingman's Hangar, they actually talked about a kind of upside down box pyramid hangar that was designed for orgs. And we've never ever seen a picture of it. We've just heard about it, but that is going way back.
Yeah, I think that's probably just going to disappear into the annals of history, and they're gonna work within what they're building now. But they've talked about having abandoned space stations. So like a Tressler or Mike L1 or any of these space stations, we're going to have those in most star systems, and orgs can take those over, and they'll have hangars, you'll have docking ports, you'll have all those facilities that can be yours if you can hold on to it.
And the other thing that was said with that is you could actually upgrade the defenses. You could change, so you could actually do stuff to actually repair the defenses or put stuff in to enhance them. But you could also lose them.
Your vehicle has been delivered to the
And that, I believe, was a stretch, comes from one of the early stretch goals of being space stations that you could fight over to control.
Yeah.
And we kind of get a very small taste of that with the security post Korea in Stanton.
Next question, Algared.
Next question. Alpha has another question. Also another question. Oh, answered that one. Mike has a question. Mike says, CIG has a history of making alien tech more advanced than human counterparts. Do you think that means that weapons and maneuverability will be more decent than a human ship of the same size? It depends on the alien race.
And the ship.
And the ship. We certainly see that with the Xian. The Xian certainly are seen as being more advanced than us in terms of their ships. The Banu take from everyone, including humans. But the Tavarans certainly weren't more advanced than us in the long run because beaten, and we did, they did have more advanced tech in terms of shield tech, but there were disadvantages with that. And we, after we beat them, we took the bits we liked. The Vandul, they seem to have had more advanced tech in terms of regeneration or health stuff, which we've taken and turned into our regeneration sphere. The Vandul are corrupting us all. So I think it depends on the race we come across. I wouldn't be surprised if the unknown race that we put on the other side of Xian space are going to be unlike, species 8349 or whatever it was in Star Trek. Thank you. Who are very deadly and we'll try and munch everyone up. But that's just pure speculation on my part. What are your thoughts, Jorunn?
Sorry, I got distracted on another conversation on Discord.
So the question was, CIG have a penchant for making alien races have better tech than we do.
Oh yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, we know that the Xian have the most advanced tech in the verse, and that's one of the reasons that I love the Xian ships. The Raylan is probably one of my all-time favorite ships because of the tech. And they showed us those interior, those corridors and passages and doors and controls back in 2017 on Around the Verse. It's like I fell in love with it back then. So I think a lot of people are going to really want to try to find that tech in the verse, and from the Banu who are trading it, the Xian, try to discover a way to contact the Kurthak on the other side of the Xian Empire. Tavarans, like I said, don't really have much advanced tech other than their phalanx shields, and I think some of the missiles. And they had a few things, but
what have they had that we didn't? We've appropriated.
Yeah. So I think pursuing those sorts of alien tech and the alien relics, that's a whole adventure path for a lot of people.
Yeah.
We're seeing some of that in the PU now, aren't we, too? They put in some of the Devaran relics and the different war medals and stuff like that. So, yeah.
But then you've also got the developing races, the Asonians and, the pre-industrial or the primitive races that are showing sentience or
the dinosaur planet, the dinosaur jungle planet, jungle planet.
That's right. With the people who turn purple or to show their emotions and part of their communication. So learning that language or communicate with them is going to be an interesting. It's going to be.
I can't wait to see Jail on screen trying to turn himself blue by holding his breath. Like.
I think we'll be using, doing close encounters kind of light type things with those guys to communicate. But yeah, that's just me. Yeah. Okay, so Alpha has another question. They say, with all the great changes to the BMM, what do you think is the role it will overtake when it releases, since it seems to be all over the place?
I don't think the role's changed at all.
No. It's just cargo and selling, really. Yeah, it's specific. It's that mobile shop where the privateer is more of a mall. This is more of like the bazaar that comes to you. So it's the bigger traveling shop,
Well, and the Kraken is a flying aircraft carrier. I mean, it's a flying base.
It'll be like a space station that stays up above a planet. This can still go down to a planet. So there is a difference between the two.
And I know people say, but the Kraken can land on planet that's got landing gear. Yeah, but it's going to be significantly harder to get up and out and all the rest of it.
Not designed to land well, and CIG has talked about how landing capital ships on planets is going to be very expensive in fuel, but also wear and tear on your components. And wear and tear on capital ship components is going to be very, very expensive, where the Banu Merchantman is designed to land on planets.
And I don't know if you guys watch, our resident lawmaster Paul talk about the UE Navy's admiral's penchant for crashing javelins into planets.
No, I had not heard about that.
Capital there's at least 3 or 4 javelins that all Bengals that admirals of the UE have chased pirates and then got caught in the gravity well and crashed. Hence the javelin, the javelin wreck on Daymar, the Falsa, is one example of that. Admiral went chasing pirates, got caught in the gravity well and in a fight, and went down and blaze of silliness. But yeah, though admirals have this penchant for flying their capital ships too close to planets and getting. Do with that what you will with regard to the Kraken and landing on planets and the problems you may or may not have.
Good luck with that, Kraken owners. Looking forward to it.
But if you can land it on a planet comfortably, it'll be a great base.
The last little thing I'll add is obviously different places, different gravities. Some will be easier, some will be a lot harder. That's all I'll add to that.
Absolutely. Same as some gas giants will be really bad for trying to scoop fuel up, even in a ship that's dedicated and specifically for that.
Risk versus reward. I guarantee you that gas will be really valuable because that's how they'll do it.
It's going to be part of that risk versus reward. You can go to a helium gas giant and scoop off the stuff and make profit, but if you want the really good stuff, you've got to go deeper. And
it's kind of scary, like we've got all this ore stuff right now and they haven't even touched the gas side, and so that's going to be just as big and scary.
Yeah, or like you said, planetary mining other than rocks on the surface. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, and most people have. Like, we had people kind of fighting us in the comments, like, this is not real, and it's like, well, it is. But
it was one of the things I was super excited for.
But I also wonder, you know how you kind of got above and below surface mining? Does that also mean there's below surface gas?
Well, we do have gas pockets. In
real life, you know, so that probably is the thing for mining gas as well. You can go around scooping it up on gas giants or a nebula, but also you might be able to find, you know, geysers and stuff like that you can just cap, or you mine down and get the gas out. So it's interesting. I think the gas mining ships have got a lot to be revealed that we just haven't seen. So yeah.
And one of the things that I saw in, I think it was the monthly report, was the idea that the life support on ships is going to be kind of gimmied so there's that limit on how many people you can have on your ships. And that kind of feeds into the idea of the supplies on our ship are going to be limited. This is a survival sim. Yeah. Most people aren't ready for it, and I know I'm stealing the Eve ad at the moment. This game, not ready for it. Eve has nothing on this game. And I'm sorry for those in the comments who want to say otherwise or think it's still a scam or a pyramid scheme or whatever. But the level of detail in here, I think this will be a massive survival sim game. You've got to manage your resources, and if you don't manage resources, I think you will have to manage them, but I don't think it'll be like really hardcore like some other survival games. No. So I think it's a more basic level, just like in real life. There are, but like if you go out to nowhere and don't take your mobile phone, don't take any food, don't take any medical stuff, and your car breaks, you're stuffed. You know, so it's the basics. So again, they want to keep it to the realism level of space. So I think they're going down the realism route, not this massive. Survival based stuff. I think it's the basics. So make sure you sorry, go John.
I was gonna say it's just like they've always said that we're going for realism and we'll dial it back to fun.
That's correct.
That's
make sure you leave details when you go on your exploration. I'm going to be traveling on this route. I don't contact you in 2 days. Please send a search party. So yeah. Aurelius Indomitus has a question. Yep. Do we know how many people own a BMM? Too many.
Now.
I would say tens of thousands of people own BAM Richardman.
Yeah.
But we're also talking about many millions of people in the community. So once we go live and they stop selling these ships, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes limited. At some point, very much like the 890 has always been limited and has become more limited over time. I think.
Well, just like the Orion went limited.
They could also go the other way too. Like they've said,
and the whole E.
They've said things like the Defender is made for the human market. What if this is a human Banu merchantman? You know, and then if you want to go get the alien one. Well, I'm just saying they could. I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying they could.
Going on the original law, as Jorunn just alluded to, originally it was supposed to be the generational ship that Banu have owned, and if you manage to get one, awesome. And I got that impression from the live stream where they were talking about the size of a Banu ship built for Banu, which humans can use. But based on that original idea of it being the generation, I don't think it's the pre-owned Banu ship which they've been using. I think the law's going to change, that humans like this ship. They've actually almost got a Suloi that's now building the Banu for the human market.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is made by the Banu for the human market. That's really not necessarily the traditional pass down ones.
Let me clarify what I mean. The ones that we brought before the game come out, they are Banu ones made by the Banu for Banu, and then the ones that come down the track that people buy, there's like a human version, and maybe it's slightly smaller or something, because you know how they're like 7 foot and we're only like 5.5 foot, you know, so they make a slightly smaller human one. That could be interesting.
I don't see them creating duplicates of the ships, because we have so many ships, and we have that whole gap in between the Defender and the 230 meter Banu merchantman, where we need to have another half a dozen minimum Banu ships. Freelancer sized, Connie sized, 600 sized.
Law-wise, that might not be a thing.
There's no. I mean, they have a whole civilization. They have planets and they have star systems. I mean, there's no reason that there should not be those ships at some point in time.
I think. Well, the other part I'll add to that is they'll obviously wait until the Banu expansion pack or whatever. But yeah. I think for law reasons, a lot of the law they brought in on the Banu was so they could limit the number of ships they needed to make for the Banu. Like they don't have very many ships. They make the best of the best. Algared, you know more about this than me. I'll let you speak on it.
Yeah, look, I tend to think because the Banu do appropriate from the cultures they come across. They find something and they say, hey, this is a really good jump drive, and we'll use that. And unless they find something that fits them that they feel is better, they just keep that one there, and then they back engineer it and work it in. Based on the hard thing is based on the original 6-inch 12, massive, broad, sweeping view of the Banu was that, they're traders, they kind of family orientated, they live on their ships and they pass them down from generation to generation, and we can acquire a Banu merchantman. But I think over time that view or that understanding of the Banu has been changed and enhanced. So we now know that the Banu Defender was built by a specific Suloi. We do now know that there's a Banu Suloi that focus on defense and building their ships, specific ships for them. So that has changed from what the original idea of the Banu were. We know that there are Suloi that deal with growing food or growing this or growing. So as they've expanded on what the Banu are, it changed the approach. And so while that original idea of a Banu ship had been passed down and we've managed to get it, my impression is because there's been so many Banu merchantmen that have been sold, even now that just doesn't work. It doesn't work as being this family ship that's been passed down. And so having a Suloi that's, say, building their Banu ship specifically for a human market makes sense. And so even if it's exactly the same, it's just we're building them because, hey, these people want them, we can make them.
I notice you're talking about LTI there, Jorunn, in chat, and I also think that alludes to the fact that LTI is not as important as people believe it to be.
It is so overrated, and the community is just absolutely bonkers nuts over LTI.
And unfortunately,
most of my ships aren't LTI, but that's just to keep costs down.
But we have created a rod for our own back. It's a bit like the I rant and rail times about the expansion packs for the Legatus pack. Your bike, the expansion has every item they've released in the year, and the price is to the roof. So I think the last one has like 10 ships, but 50,000 paints, and every other item they put out.
All the crap.
Didn't we just see that? The effect just disappeared randomly. Look, no warp effect. Weird.
Yeah, your quantum drive is broken.
Happens.
But that effect, that problem that I experienced is also a problem of every collectors who was around when they were asking, because they said, what do you want us to put in the biggest pack? And as collectors, we said, we want everything. We want to be able to get everything. And they said, okay. And so now the pack has everything, options to get everything. You know, so LTI is a bit the same. We want LTI because we want LTI. We've kind of fed that it's important, and so CIG marketed. But it shouldn't be important. Chris Roberts, even as early as 24, you know, even when I started, he was saying LTI is not important. It's a minor convenience. One mission will give you enough credits to pay for your ship hull insurance, your ship insurance. You know, so
it's really just a benefit for people who have large fleets and want to minimize your monthly costs. Like I only have 30 ships, but that's going to add up when I've got a lot of medium to large ships, and people who have all the ships. Insurance is going to be a non-negligible amount of money.
I also think it's probably more important on larger ships as well.
Only because of the cost.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing LTI is essentially paying your monthly insurance premium, just like you have on your car.
Yeah.
Which is going to be higher on bigger ships.
And it shouldn't be an issue, but as gamers, as everything else, everyone wants LTI because it is a convenience. And it is and it's that. I know we often bill it as FOMO, but I think it's that I look at it and go, well, down the track, it's one less bill I've got to worry about. It's one less credit sink I've got to worry about.
I think it's definitely used by the marketing team as a weapon in their arsenal. So,
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Can we move on to the next question, please?
I've always thought that LTI should be just any ship we buy with cash or credits at the moment should have LTI, and any of it we buy in game, that just gets ship hull insurance. That's kind of
what they were talking about in chat.
Yeah. The Nth has a question. They say, is the progression of Star Citizen lore passed on to new versions? For example, perhaps a rebuild of a Kovalix shipping hub, or a monument built on Orison in memory of those who passed. Yes, I think it does. Like at the moment, we haven't seen a rebuild of the Kovalix shipping hub, but I believe that will eventually be something that happens, or it'll be decommissioned and a new one will be built. But we see that in things like Jumptown is part of recognised lore. Yet the origins of Jumptown was a bug that caused a great trade link to be opened. So I think things that happen in the game do get built into the lore, and that's one of the things that they are looking at or wanting. They certainly talked about that in terms of killing pirates. There'll only be, say, one Dread Pirate Roberts. Once he's dead, another one might spawn and take his place, but if you kill Dread Pirate Roberts, you're the person who killed Dread Pirate Roberts, you know, the man who shot Liberty Valance, or the man who shot Liberty Valance, not the kid, you know, so yeah.
But what was that guy's name?
Who knows? He was the man who shot Liberty Valance. So, what do you think? Will there be monuments and things, or will the lore continue or be built on?
I think they'll continue to add things, kind of like the Snake Pit was added in there, and like Daymar Rally and these things. I think as the community does things, and CIG talked about, if you kill the Dread Pirate Roberts, or whatever famous criminal gang leader or what have you, then you'll be known in the news and whatnot, and that'll be kind of inverse to your reputation and lore and that and whatnot. So I think that kind of carries through with what they've always talked about having a persistent universe, that we are only a fraction of the total NPC population, but we can influence in some ways, and some people want to become famous pirates, famous war heroes, famous this or that, and some people just want to go in space truck or tour about
or grow crops or do whatever. So,
yep, exactly.
for those pirates of you among you who wish to upset Paul, aka the Astropub, hunt down and kill Cal Mason. Yeah, you kill Cal Mason, you kill Paul's favourite character. For me, you kill Soj Kozi, you kill my favourite character, so, you know.
I thought it'd be Old Man Hurston.
You can't kill Old Man Hurston. How can you kill me?
I don't know, I might find out next week. I might feed you to a jacker hole. We'll see what happens.
Okay, next question. William Wolf says, are we limited to questions? No.
Nope, not at all.
Ray of Light says, with one single system and the game is nearly 80 gigabytes in size, how much do you expect when we have more than one system?
So it depends how
Not much
yeah, because a lot of the same textures will be. So if you think about a snow planet, it's a snow planet in different locations. So as Jorunn said, the only real thing that changes is actually the data, not the textures and stuff. So once you have that, the textures which take up most of the file size, it's actually just the data. So it's really just the
that's your temporary shaders folder. I mean, you can delete and clear that out. The actual permanent game files are just to run the game. It's not the actual content of the game. So the cities, the spaceships, the locations, the asteroids, all these things are streamed in and out, which, we got that from object container streaming and bind culling and all those things as in the early days of working towards server meshing. And so with server meshing, you're only loading in the content of the area that you're in. Right now, the whole standard system is run on one server, and everything that 50 players are experiencing is being handled by one server. But when we get server meshing, then a server may be handling Wally's bar with 500 people in the bar or something like that. And then once you step out of Wally's bar, you'll be transferred to another server, and all this is being streamed in and out. So it's not part of the actual game files itself. I mean, might get a little bigger, but it's not going to be a 300 gigabyte game because of the content.
And that's not even big anymore, because I think Call of Duty's up to almost 300 gig. It's like 250 plus. So yeah. So generally it's when new stuff comes in. So I actually think the biggest things after the game's out more likely be new ships, new people, new armor, new cities, but new planets won't really affect that, because once you have that pool of different, it'll be more cross-pollination. What the hell is wrong with this ship?
And even with the new settlements we've got and the derelicts and other stuff, that's already adding extra content and extra value and stuff. So, yeah. Will it be bigger? Yeah. Will it be too big? I don't know.
What's a
but
dickhead?
certainly I don't think it'll be that much bigger.
You see what this guy just did? He flew in underneath my Starfarer.
Well, that's his fault.
He's trying to get me a crime stat.
Well,
he's for going to Grimhex.
Yep.
A hive of
Whoever takes a Starfarer to damn Grimhex, that's why I did it. Just something random and different.
So I don't expect it to be too much bigger with Pyro, just because of, as you guys said, maybe with an extra base or so, but yeah. OHOP4 has a question. He says, do you think the Perseus or similar large ships on the deck of a Kraken? So I think, do you think we'll be able to land the Perseus or similar large ship on the deck of a Kraken? I think is what he's really asking.
What was the ship?
A Perseus or similar large ship.
Oh, you can probably land it, but it won't be able to repair it or anything.
Yeah, I think some people have taken a Carrack and like spread it out over the
medium pads.
the medium the pads there, and it kind of hangs off the side. And the Perseus is actually smaller than the Carrack slightly,
Yeah.
so you might be able to. And the old, if it fits, it sits.
Yeah.
But why would you want to? I mean, it has a
Exactly.
docking port. The Carrack has a docking port, so
Yeah,
attached to the docking
the
port.
only real reason to land something on another ship is so you can use the functionality of that ship. If you're just landing it, you're essentially just parking next to it. You're not going to get any advantages because the pad size is not made for you.
Yep.
So you're just preventing them
It's a
using it.
long range ship.
Yeah. Well, Perseus isn't a long range ship.
No, it's not.
The law says it's a river ship.
Yeah.
They've designed it as a river patrol boat. It's an inshore squadron ship. It's designed specifically as being a system defense ship. You look at the firepower on it, and the Navy had stopped producing them because it wasn't fitting their mobile fleet mentality. It wasn't fitting their design. And it's only been brought back into play following the
Wow.
big
So
disaster.
that's why that person did that. Look at that. I actually can't store it. That's why they did that. Wow. Okay.
Evil bugger.
Oh.
What
Bastards.
a dick! Yeah, so they're trying to do that so you can't sell what's over on the Starfarer. What a dick move! Well, that's going to get patched. That's crazy.
So yeah, I don't see a value in doing that landing on the other ship. It just, to me, it's I could see why you'd do it with a Perseus because it's not a long range ship. So that would work, but yeah, it's not a long range ship in terms of an Idris is, or probably even a Defender is, or a Banu is. It's certainly made for local defence. But anyway,
Your insurance claim has been sent.
Swiss Knight Rider. I'll call you Kit because it's easier to say than Swiss Knight Rider. So Kit has a question. They say, thank you for fix my fleet with our Wildcats. How long do you guess it will take for the Perseus to be in game? And do you think we will have the pet system cats in our spacesuits?
That's inside of our spacesuits?
Yeah.
What was the system?
So, when do we think the Perseus will be in game?
No, I got that
Yes,
part.
that's
I
done.
said the suit thing.
And the second question, and do you think we will have, or when do you think we will have pet system, i.e. having pets?
Oh, pets is in dogs and cats. Sorry, I'm having a bit of noise issue with the game.
Yeah.
The pets will be a lot later. A lot later.
And being able to have cats in our spaceships, and yeah, that's when we get nav mesh and when we get other critters, and yeah, so long time ago, so a long while yet. Hopefully I don't die before then. Said facetiously. Any of you guys want to add any more to that?
No thanks.
Okay, so Feathers McGraw says,
Cats in spacesuits.
Yeah,
Their own spacesuits,
black
not
cats.
ours.
I think cats in spaceships are actually killeriffy, but you know. Okay, so Feathers McGraw says, how can I get an 890 jump with LTI?
Origin Complete Pack.
Yeah.
Just
Yep,
go.
there are
Start
big packs you can buy.
and go.
I'm not sure which is the smallest pack you can get with the 890 jump in it. I'd have to go and have a look.
I think it is the Origin Complete Pack because it's only like $2,600, and it includes all the Origin ships. So you take the other ships and they're either LTI tokens or they're good ships on their own. That's what I did with my 890. I got into 2016, rolled it into the first Origin Complete Pack in 2017. Because I was halfway there already.
And it gives, and if you like all the Origin ships, then that's great. But if you don't like all the Origin ships, then you do have tokens to move into other ships as well. But just be aware, as we usually say, packs are notoriously horrid for CCUing. Not because you can't CC your ships, just because if you make a mistake, you've got to rewind the whole lot to undo it.
Yes, I am now locked in mine.
Yeah. I've got a couple of packs where I've locked into the ships, and I got massive savings on them, so I can't really remelt and restart because I just lose too much. And I kind of wish I'd put the different ships in different packs because the packs are now locked in so that I can keep the ships that I want. So learn from our mistakes. Zev has a question.
Yep.
How much value do you place on the concept of LTI, and would you make a capital purchase without it?
Capital automatically comes with LTI. Anything over $1,000 automatically comes with LTI. So I think that answers
except
that
that you
question.
do have some sub $1,000 capitals.
Yes.
Yeah. So it has to, if any ship over $1,000.
The most tricky one for that
$1,000,
would be the Pioneer. Yeah, that's probably the most tricky one.
890.
890 is over
890
1,000. Isn't the 890 over 1,000 now? No, okay.
No, it's just under.
Never had LTI. It's one of the biggest complaints that so many people that own 890s or want 890s have. Some people will refuse to buy it without
which is
LTI.
bizarre because it should have heaps more problems that I'd be worried about for that ship. LTI would be again, as I said, LTI is great on a capital, but like if you're getting on a mule, I wouldn't give a shit. You know, it comes back to cost for me, if anything. So
Yeah. Namek has a question. A lot of people want to play the game and earn capital. While I just want to live as a miner, do you think that will be possible, or will everyone become a millionaire?
It's a tough one.
Interesting question. I think everybody has different wants out of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends on what you're after. Like, I own pretty much every ship. I think there's only one or two ships I don't have. One being the Steel, and the other literally being the Odyssey, which I have a CCU to. Now, people say to me, why? Because you've got nothing to aim for. But I don't see ship progression as being the goal of the game. I see
Absolutely not.
everything else being the exploration, the seeing the game. For me, one of the things I'd love to do is go to a settlement. Thriving. There's the archaeology side of finding, it's problem solving, of finding those bits that went missing. So there's so many ways to play the game. If you try and put it in a box, you're missing so much. Anyway.
Yeah, that's why I've bought all the ships that I really want to have, because I grind 60 hours a week in my real life job. I mean, I work ridiculously hard for the money that I make, and my escapism is more relaxation and escaping into another world. And this is escaping into that science fiction universe that I've always dreamed about from Star Wars or Star Trek. And like you, I want to. I love space trucking. I like making money from that. But I like the relaxation of it. I just like flying my spaceship and picking it up here and buying it and dropping it off.
Yeah.
And exploration, I want to see new places. I want to go touring. I want to spend time with my friends. I don't feel like grinding hard to get things so that I can do things. I just want to be able to do those things.
Welcome. Goodbye to the ASOC
X?
vehicle retrieval system.
I kind of missed the question totally. What was it? Sorry.
So it's a question about just wanting to be a miner, and everyone seeming to want to earn capital ships in game, and this guy just wants to be live a life as a miner and just do their thing.
I think you're going to be able to do what you want to do in game, but there will be consequences and restrictions. Just like I kind of said before, like you're not going to be able to do everything you want to do, and it's not going to please everyone. If you want to be the solo miner,
but what if they don't want to do anything else? That's
fine,
all they
and that's
do.
what I'm saying. Like, but they have to, like, you can't turn around and be like a solo prospector miner and get pissed that that there's 8 people in an Orion that are just making shit tons of money because they're doing it together. So if you just want to do your casual little thing, you're going to be fine. But you can't get pissy when a big org comes in and there's multiple people, because that's just how it's going to be. It's just like real life. Yeah.
I think another way of looking at it as well.
Yeah.
I think another way of looking at it as well, like,
Vehicle has been moved
I've
to
got
our storage facility.
the ships I've got because I want to be able to not have to grind
Stand by.
and be able to do what I want when I want. Now,
Your
because I've got
vehicle
so
has
much
been
choice of
delivered to
ships.
the following
Hang on,
location.
read in chat, Algared. Apparently, is this Namek's question? He's going on about we're misunderstanding.
Please.
It is Namek's question.
Yep, and he's saying we're misunderstanding.
Okay, so
let
can you...
clarify it, please, Namek, and we will re-answer it.
Will it be too easy to make money when you have lots of ships? Yeah, we
You have to have people, don't you?
Well, you can have friends. You can hire NPCs, but that also goes to another question or another comment that someone else had about pay to win. And my response to that is, like, there is no pay to win. There's paid to save time. There's paid to advance, and
Yeah.
you and I we have paid to save the time to grind to have those ships that we want to spend time in, and we'll be able to make money faster and easier and better, but it doesn't mean that somebody else can't also do those things. You're just going to have to grind in game, and so it's not necessarily winning, it's just saving time.
I'm not even sure we will be able to make money quicker and faster. Like, yeah, sure, we're in a bigger ship, so that'll scale up. But I'm just thinking in terms of, I want to be able to do everything. So for someone who's doing medical, and they specialize in medical and they're doing it all the time, I expect they are going to do medical 100 times better than I can, even if I'm running with X, just because of they're doing it all the time. And so I would expect they will earn, their earning capability will be better. Do I think everyone will become a millionaire? Eventually, maybe. It depends on, but that's assuming there are no money sinks.
Then the thing is, like, everyone's going to become a millionaire because the cheapest fighter's like, just over $1 million? So you're more like a billionaire.
I feel that the current values are completely placeholder and fairly meaningless. Everything is going to be a lot harder to earn in game in time. And Nemec says, I asked if we will still have people flying around in freelancers after 10 years of the game. I guess maybe he's saying that they won't be able to earn enough to get those larger ships. And frankly, potentially, yeah, if you don't team up with other people, it will be virtually impossible to get a capital ship. Chris Roberts has talked about that a couple of times.
Game is clearly saying if you want the bigger ships, you have to work together. That is clearly a design
Chris
factor.
said very specifically in a few different times that the larger ships are going to scale up like owning a container ship, like owning an aircraft carrier. Those are owned by huge corporations, international conglomerates, countries. You will have to have an org to be able to make enough money to buy those larger ships. You'll have to scale up. So for your freelancer and making a little bit more money and get something a little bigger and work with some other people, and then it's a matter of scale. And yeah, you can make good money in your smaller ships, but you're never going to make the scale of money to get those really big capital ships without working together with a lot of other people. And then yeah, it's not going to necessarily be your ship because those people all are working together. So yeah, in that way, I mean, we are jumping ahead of a lot.
Yeah.
But even if we do have the Orion or the Javelin or the Idris or the, those multi-crew ships, if I try and take those out by myself, then there's no use me complaining when someone pops up and stomps me. I need to have my org crew that ship, or my mates crew that ship. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. It's a nice bling ship, but yeah, so what? And so...
Dynamic says, I don't want the game to be every player has a javelin and an 890, and yeah, I mean it's going to be nearly impossible to get those really large ships for
So
because
one of
the cost,
when
but also
I
reputation.
I need to point out here, one of the things when I interviewed Chris, he literally said the kind of tsunami wave thing, so everyone knows what I'm going to say here. He literally said at the moment, if everything's like a scale like this, and this is one of the reasons we say sell your fighters, because they're not going to appreciate in value, is basically he said right now, if this is like 1, 2, and 3, where 1 is an Aurora, 2 is like a Constellation, and 3 is like an Idris. And he basically said when the game comes out, because of the sliding scale and the nature of it, fighters will relatively stay the same, but like a Constellation might be 5 times its value currently, and something like an Idris maybe 10 times its value. So if you actually look at that on a sliding scale, you can see just how much they're intending to push out the cost of these bigger ships. And so one of the reasons when we recommend a lot of ships, we always say consolidate and get a bigger ship, because it's going to appreciate up to 10 times of its actual value. That's why we say things like that.
Or potentially 30 times.
Yeah. Look at,
like massively. And that's why I bought my second Banner Merchantman. I bought 2 Banner Merchantmen at $250, and my original intent was, after the game goes live, many years when there's a market for it, and there's a lot of people that will have a lot of money, and orgs that will have money, and they'll be in demand, and there won't be very many compared to how many people want them. I'll be able to sell it for enough to finance my luxury lifestyle. Although now I don't know if I'm going to sell it.
I've heard people turn around and said, I know people that got multiple Krakens, and one of the or Idrises, and their plan is to turn around and sell one of them. And I reckon that'll totally be a thing. It's like, well, we can spend, you know, like let's just say the Javelin, and someone turns around and tries to sell the Javelin for 3 times what it is. So it's $3,000 now, and they try and sell it for like 10 grand. And the org's like, well, we could grind for 2 years, or just band together and spend. Do you know what I mean? People will actually think like that, and there are going to be some people that will try to do that. I think CIG will try to limit that like a shit ton, because it's kind of illegal and stuff, but.
Well, it's not illegal, but there will be limitations. So one of the things that I've told people, where it's like, well, I'm going to buy a bunch of ships, and after launch, I'm going to sell them so I can have a bunch of money. And there's so many reasons that is just illogical, because for one, everybody who can afford to have large ships is going to already have them, or they're not going to have any money to buy those in game if you're selling to other players,
unless they're new. You got to remember, you're playing a long-term game there. So no, just hang on, because you have to understand, 5 years after release, they're going to be orgs that never even knew about this shit. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, sorry.
And that's absolutely what I tell people. Is it's like, after several years, people will have accumulated enough money, and there'll be this shortage of these large ships, because they'll be we'll have 10 million people, and you're going to have so many, hundreds of thousands, millions of people that are going to want these big ships, and they'll have accumulated a lot of money, and just like any supply and demand, the value is going to go up tremendously, and people can afford them.
Here's one other thing, just real quick to chuck in there too, Jorunn, to add to your calculations. This is one that most people overlook, is the size of the universe, right? They once said to go to all 100, just to visit every solar system would take 22 days, right? So if you actually have a Javelin,
how long ago was that?
Oh, years ago. But just hear me out. If you have a Javelin in Stanton, how long is it going to take to get that Javelin from Stanton to the other side of the universe? So you're actually going to, as an org, you're probably going to want to have your Javelin spread out, if you get my drift.
And there's a lot of jump points that you're not going to be able to take.
Exactly.
So you'll have to take multiple trips. That's why several people I know own multiple Javelins, because they're going to have it's logistics. So you're going to have a Javelin fleet strategically placed to be able to get places faster.
Yep.
To be able to react to.
So you kind of got
that
one Javelin that covers that corridor of large jump points, and another one over here because they can't jump between here because exactly. No. So a lot of people go, there's too many ships, but I think when you start to look at the size of the universe, the number of people involved, it's not as bad as people think it is.
No, it's the future universe is going to be so completely different from what we have now. It's completely unrecognizable. The
And-
financial model is going to be completely unrecognizable.
And I think, like, you look at Stanton now, like we say, oh, we've only got one system, but have you been to every location in Stanton yet?
There are so many places that people haven't.
I haven't been to every location in Stanton yet.
I haven't either, and I play quite a bit.
Yeah, and I don't think there's too many people who've been to every single location.
Then you've also
and
got
they're adding more.
you got to add the size of the. We're in a very small solar system. Like once you start to extrapolate this out, it just goes crazy town. Remember what I said? 22 days just to visit, and yes, that is old information, but still 22 days is not a short amount of time. So if that goes, I don't know, Jorunn, were you going to say that's probably going to
without any stops?
Were you going to say that's going to go up? Because I actually
think so,
reckon it will go up.
Yeah.
But 22 days is an insane amount of time. And we're literally just talking like, in some cases, you'll warp in, turn around and go back through the same jump point because it's just visiting. You know, that's, crazy amount of time.
Going from one end of the empire to the other end of the empire, take. And that's literally just passing through. It's not visiting planets, not checking out light points of interest, not doing.
I made the horrific mistake of taking a Carrack from Tressler to Grimhex the other night because we were in the PTU and I got a crime stat and I was in a friend's Carrack and I was like, oh, well, I'll just pop over to Grimhex to pay my fine, not realizing that the stock Carrack drive on that trip of 50 million kilometers, it was 15 minutes one way. That was a half-hour round trip to go pay a fine. And it's like, I'm sitting here and everybody else is going off and doing stuff. It's like, yep, that's going to be a half hour. I did not realize that.
I do hope eventually they just give us an app on our Mobilglass to pay fines.
Or give us more in-game things to do on the ships. So more chess sets, more backgammon, more video game. The video game terminal.
That's why we have
repair,
890s, right?
Maintain. Or
Yes.
Let's go hang out at the bar.
I do actually wonder, you kind of bring that up, like, are certain ships going to have more things to do while you're flying? And you have to assume in a fighter you've probably got Tetris, and then in something like 890 Jump you've got a whole party or whatever you can do, yeah.
Well, and they have said that having to do maintenance and engineering and things like that on your ship, you may have things happen, but then there's also going to be those things that you run across in those probability volumes, which was mentioned in the roadmap roundup that came out yesterday. Is the first iteration of probability volumes is being worked on. It's on the roadmap now of space encounters. So as you're flying around, things are going to happen, which I think is very cool. Which is only going to slow down your travel if it's like, oh, there's something really cool. Stop the ship. Put on the brakes.
Do you reckon I'm going to catch
Not
this guy?
going to be empty.
Do you reckon I'm going to finally catch him? No, I don't know. Sorry, I've been chasing this guy. I don't know if I'm going to catch him. We'll see. All right, sorry, next question.
EDS Kepler has a question. EDS Kepler says, will the 5+ player crew ships, that's I'm assuming the ships that need 5+ crew, be actually manned by players, or everyone just use 80% NPCs instead? So are we going to use players or just NPCs? And I think it's much of a muchness. I think it'll well, not much of a muchness, but it'll depend on what people are doing. Or
my plan was always to have 5 or 6 permanent NPC crew for either my Carrack, Banner Merchantman, or 890. Now I've got a lot of friends, but I still like to just go off on my own and just do my own thing. So I'm still going to have an NPC crew for those ships. And on the bigger ships like a Javelin, where you may have to have 100 or more people really crewing that, most of the Javelin owners, they plan on having 1 to 10, 1 to 5 players per NPCs. So certainly a multiplication factor. I don't think many people really plan on having complete human crews for most of the big capital ships, except very occasionally.
I actually think, ironically, they're going to use the human rating system to work out. So if you think about an AI, if it's doing a task, they can actually cheat and do it on a timer. So if they find out, say, the rank 4-star humans can do it in between 3 to 4 minutes, they'll make the AI's timer mimic that, and it's on a random dial between 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty much whatever the real time is for someone to do a particular task. It's all the Tony Z's back end and the simulated AI.
Yep. So, and they can get away with faking it because it's AI, because you never actually, you got an animation of them doing the task, but it's being faked.
But even more simulated is that you're only going to see them if you happen to be there. If you're on the bridge and you've got an engineer in the engineering station, they're not going to actually physicalize that NPC. They're going to do all the process in the back end to be less of an impact on the game itself.
Yep. 100%.
Which is super cool. It's just amazing.
It is. It's very cool how they've got the gun. And this guy's being really. What the hell? Now he's all the way at Hurston.
That's why Tony Z is a guy.
Didn't that happen to you last time, Execute?
Yeah, it did, and then eventually he blew up or something, or crashed into a planet or logged off or whatever. But yeah, the only reason I started it was there was no bounty hunting missions. Look, there just isn't any, and I don't understand why.
I am so looking forward to 317 too. I mean, there's so much more to do. It's very exciting.
So,
Next,
this is probably a question for all three of us, since we all have a BMM. Troy LSE says, how many people do I need on my Prowler to steal your BMM? Well, at the moment, you can have as many people as you like. You still can't steal our BMM because it's not in-game. How many do you think we'll need eventually?
Or how many people's on it, and you know, are they well trained? What security system are they in? Are they being escorted? Are they running with a Polaris and a Kraken? You know, like how long is a piece of string? That's that question.
Self-destruct in 5.
Yeah, that's Algared's answer to everything. They're on my ship. Self-destruct.
Yeah. Do I care about death of a spaceman? No. Do you want to take my ship? Fine. Board my ship. Self-destruct in 5.
You can come, but you'll never leave.
Welcome to the Hotel California.
That would be a good name for an 890 jump, actually. I just realized. Hotel California.
Yeah, one that you're going to do is self-destruct when anyone comes. You can come in, but you're never going to leave.
No, Hotel California would be a great name for an 890 jump. Anyway. I digress.
Mark Johnson has a question for us. Oh, did you guys answer that question? Execute, you kind of said, how long's a piece of string?
I'm fine. Well, Jorunn probably didn't have a go at it, but it's up to him.
I kind of the same. I mean, if it's strictly a matter of, okay, well, how many people does it take to take a ship that's not paying any attention to whatever's around it and doesn't have any of the weapon stations or scanning stations manned, and you're just being a complete noob, then probably only takes one good operative.
One good Marine, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so Mark Johnson, clearly someone who is regular to us because he's using the correct terminology here. He says, given that the Cutlass Steel is an upcoming ship of the month for subscribers, would this ship be more acceptable to Algared with the addition of a movie screen and popcorn maker? No. It is a steel.
It make any difference.
Oh no, sorry, he didn't use the correct terminology. He actually spelt steel incorrectly. It's S-T-E-A-L.
Yeah. That's how we spell it here, by the way, Jorunn. Yeah. Anyway. So
no, it doesn't become more acceptable to me with a movie screen and popcorn maker. It's an abomination. Okay, it is anathema. It is the one ship I don't think.
It wasn't a great price, but a lot of people like it.
I would disagree with you. There's a lot of people that don't like it. I would say it's a minority ship for its price point. You gotta realize at its price point.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I didn't say the majority of people liked it. I said that there are a lot of people that like it, but I think it is a small minority because
the Draco files do love it. Yes, the Draco files do love it, but
that's pretty much it.
And they are wrong. It is a crap ship. Certainly not one that I like for numerous reasons.
Jorunn, to put it
I will-
specific and really succinctly, he owns every ship in the game except that. So that says a lot for Algared to say that. Like like he owns everything, but that speaks volumes.
Yeah. The only one I don't actually have in my hangar is the Odyssey, and I've got CC.
Yeah.
And I will have the Odyssey before I'll ever consider getting it.
Yeah, I couldn't pass it up because there were so many deals for the CCU game, war bonding, that thing. I don't remember what I turned into it, but yeah, it's worth it. I didn't need it because I love my character, but what the hell? I love Misk too.
I got it because even I don't think it's not a competitor with a character. It's parallel, in my view.
Yeah.
And if CIG keep pushing it as a competitor of a character, I think they're doing it a disservice. My railing against it.
Paul Jones was joking about that, and
Yeah.
John Cruz said it's like it, or I think it was John Cruz was talking about that on one of the not reverse the Star Citizen lives. That Paul was joking about that, and it's like this is going to cause a problem, isn't it? It's like, yeah, probably. And they laughed about it because everybody has, wants their ship to be the meta ship. It's like, this is the best ship, so much better than every other ship because, like, for whatever reason, it's like it's got bigger guns, it has a bigger hangar, it can mine Quantania, but it doesn't mean that it has longer range because the Carrack can haul tons of extra fuel in the cargo bays if you want to. So it was always a super long-range exploration ship that was meant to be out in black for months at a time. So
and be able to repair itself and use drones and everything else.
Exploration drones, repair drones. It's got the cartography room. What the Odyssey does not have a cartography room. I love that room.
No, it's got a U-Butte viewing room, so you can look out the back window. For me, it was those features that the Odyssey had. They said was all, a rule of cool viewing room, the Xian gravity generator, Xian lift, and these were the things that make it an awesome exploring ship. To me, that was just bunkum.
Yeah,
Tell me why the sensor array is underneath the ship. Tell me why, explain those types. To me, it is what we always thought it was. Almost a planetary survey ship designed specifically for a role. It's a companion, it's not a competitor. And I think when you look at it that way, it makes sense. But when you try and put them side by side and say they're competing against each other, I think the Odyssey loses out 9 times out of 10.
As an explorer, I agree.
But my frustration with the sale is the way it was marketed more than. Yeah.
I don't think that was marketing because I think I think it was having a bit of fun of friendly competition.
No. So you got to understand marketing. They have all this data that tells them that we are really into explorer ships because they've taken all those polls over the years. That's why it was marketed the way it was.
80% of the community is into exploration and likes exploration ships. It was tremendously popular and still is, and I think it's a great ship. But the carrot killer was an offhand comment that I think that they just found humor in, and I don't think it was a nefarious, underhanded marketing thing. I don't. Far too many people are far too. I think.
Easy to trigger.
Towards, about marketing and CIG's marketing. It's like as if it's something evil, but no, they're just having fun and selling spaceships, and we like buying spaceships.
I don't think the carrot killer comment was necessarily bad. Like, he's the guy who's designed the ship. He may, well, even if it's a throwaway line, he may truly believe it's a good competitor against the carrack, and is in that sense a carrot killer. But that doesn't mean it is or it isn't. That just means that's his view. Same way that I say the Cutlass Steel is a steel, an absolute piece of rubbish. In fact, I do have the Nomad before I will have a Cutlass Steel. In fact, I've got several Nomads. And I hate the Nomad. But I've still got it.
I'm not a fan of the Nomad.
You're not a fan?
Yeah, it's like it's a good little ship, but I only have 30 ships, and because I'm pretty selective about the ships that I like, and there's so many good ships out there that I just don't have any attraction to. For me, I have to have an attraction to it. It has to be shiny. It has to be something that appeals to me. A lot of it's aesthetic and role, exploration, touring, cargo, and I didn't need a gunship, but I got a Perseus. I don't need an Idris, but I'm probably going to end up with an Idris. I don't know why. It just grows in its shininess over time.
I always thought the Idris was the closest to the Enterprise that we had, which is why I liked it. I wanted the lots of Execute always bagged me out because I talk about the red shirts, but I'd always want my NPCs as red shirts, so that when my friends came on, if I did the agent smithing, there were red shirts for them to fill in, so that so it didn't matter if the NPC was cool, that type of take a couple of NPCs with you when you do a ground mission, die instead of you.
That's true.
That type of thing. But yeah. So for me, it was always the ship that enabled you to have those extra NPCs, like the Enterprise. You can't really do that with a Carrack. The Carrack's only got 8 or 9 crew. The Enterprise, the Idris, they had to put 90 odd NPCs on it to make it feel like it was full, and they still felt empty.
The big ship.
So,
but yeah, I guess very much like the Enterprise, where you have all these extra crew that just kind of wander around and just make it look like it's a busy, huge
ship. And then you've got your red shirts who you can take on missions to die instead of you. So, if you can take your NPCs with you, yeah. Anyway, so next question. Fails Qual says, he says, not sure if this has been spoken about, probably not. He says, what do you have you seen what you need to do for the Foundation Festival?
Yeah.
Yes, we did answer that one. Sangropa comes in, he says, with a spate of Russian oligarchs yachts being seized around the world, have any 890 jump faced the same fate? So have we had our ships taken by the UEE? No.
We've had a few blown up. Accidental crime stats.
So there you go. No one's had the same fate yet. Realism Dominus says, do you think you can also find jump points with the BMM because of finding new trading place? Of course you can. Every ship can find jump points.
Just some will
there's
be
lore
better.
about there's lore about the Auroras finding jump points.
Yeah. Well, the first ships didn't have the systems we've got for finding jump points, and they were finding jump. So, of course they can.
Some will just be better at it than others. That's
Yep.
just in a nutshell.
It's a bit like the mapping of the jump points and recording the data. The Carrack and the Aquila currently are the only 2 ships listed with jump point mapping and navigational sensors. Does that mean no other ship can do it? No, it just means they've got specialized tools that make it easier for them. So yeah. Anyone else want to butt in on that one, or are we done?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so Ocipita, or Ochipita, depending on the pronunciation. When do you think we will see the Herald back in action?
I didn't realize it was broken. It's still working, isn't it?
Does he mean it as in like when they put hacking in, or like stealing stuff?
I don't know what she means. I was wondering about that, if she meant.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Oshipita,
Can we get a clarification?
from Twitch, if you're still there, please clarify what you mean by when do we think we'll see the Herald back in action, because we're not really sure what you mean. And we'd love to be able to answer that question for you. While we're waiting for that clarification, Scissors Fuzz says, I noticed research missions in the PTU. This is the beginning of science exploration gameplay.
Maybe it's an interesting mission where you're taking a probe out and releasing it.
Yeah, it could even just be the testing of those probes.
Like, what probes could go into many things. Probes can be the start of drones. Probes can be the start of, like, scanning. There's
Probes can be the start of alien, capturing people and doing things. So. Kit has another question for us.
Says the 890 jump is the Enterprise, and I agree with that, because I've always felt that Origin was more Starfleet, and that vision of the bright, shiny, optimistic, clean future that Starfleet had kind of envisioned, as opposed to the grimy, dirty, used future that some other
I've always found the Enterprise to be the character myself.
Firefly.
But yeah, different strokes for different folks.
In terms of role,
Carrick is the Firefly.
no,
that'd be the Connie.
Carrick-
Sorry, the Serenity is the Connie. My bad. Said that the wrong way.
Like the Carrick is certainly picks up a role that the Enterprise has in terms of exploration, but it doesn't pick up that crew size ability. So 8 people on a Carrick.
Yeah, cruise.
Maximum 8
Cruise size
people.
is
I think we'll
definitely
call.
more interest.
I think we'll call this out once we see the modules for the Carrick, because I still think there's going to be humanitarian things that Carrick does. And
Well,
that
they did.
definitely. You're right there, Punk. Sorry, my cat just turned up. Ugh.
Well, even early on, they talked about the Carrick modules being able to be extra crew quarters and things like that. So,
Tristan says that the Endeavor is the Enterprise.
Yeah, so it's going to be different things for different
Interesting.
people. I think that's what I mean. Like, it's what you see that Enterprise as. I don't think there is a perfect ship for the Enterprise.
right. No, there's not, because
It's cut up.
in terms of that,
It's a very unique
exploration role, the Carrick is certainly the one that ticks that Enterprise box to a T. The 890 jump ticks it in terms of that sense of the 10-foot bar of
Yep.
The aesthetic.
touchy-feely, nice, happy people. But in terms of crew quarters and crew numbers, it's the Beatrice that does it. And I thought that before before the
Yeah, you'd almost
Yeah,
have
but
to take something like a javelin size, add in the the feel of some of the other ships, remove a lot of the combat, put in the bar. Like, there is nothing that's an Enterprise. I think as we've kind of established, it's many different ships.
Yep. And that's why so many people see the different ships being the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kit has another question. Do you think what do we think of the Genesis Starliner? What will the gameplay be like, and will it earn good money? Kit being a Swiss Knight Rider, by the way, just in case you forgot. But so Jorunn, Genesis Starliner.
I think it's going to be a fantastic passenger transport ship. It's going to be like a 747, where you're hauling a large number of low-paying economy passengers, as opposed to the Phoenix, which is more of a chartered Learjet, and the 600 is more of a small charter yacht. And the 890 is the large super luxury yacht for a few very, very important people.
So, do you think it will be able to make good money?
I think it's going to make phenomenal money. I think it's going to be a money printing ship.
And I have to agree with that, because
Same.
one of the reasons that was given for the insane price of the ship, $400 when it came out, was the fact that it is the one ship that they had produced at that point that they envisaged could make money straight off the bat without any outlay.
Other than crew.
other than paying for your crew, because you don't have to go out and mine and stuff. You don't have to harvest gas. You don't have to go and then refine stuff. You don't have to go salvage stuff. You don't have to buy stock and haul it. Get the passengers, put them on, take them to where they're going.
Other than mining with like a prospector or a mole, that's the most just straight profit type of ship. Although the Starfarer gas harvesting is another mining ship. So mining and passenger transport are kind of the two where you have almost no upfront outlay in cost other than just time.
I think with crew, honestly, if you think it through, if you were trying to solo a bigger ship, I actually think it'd be easier to do that on a mining ship than it would do on because you're going to need crew for a Genesis. I think you can switch seats and get away with it in a mining vessel, but I don't see you being able to do that because obviously there's going to be the rating of the passengers, and the passengers will give you a shit rating if they're having a shit time.
In entertainment, food and drink, all that sort of stuff. The what do they call that? The drink drink mixmaster thingamabobber.
Mixologist or whatever. Yeah.
The mixmaster or something.
Well,
Some people are really looking forward to that.
So Jake Capella is actually a mixologist. He used to be a bartender. So I think that's what... And I've heard Astro Pub say that a few times, so I think it... I don't know. I could be wrong, but yeah.
Although, it is worth watching Jail's drink that he made for Alien Week. Go to his channel, watch his stream for his drink.
What was it?
Thank you.
Some Xian drink. Some Xian drink with a variety of different things in. But he also gives his, he makes it and tastes it and gives his reaction to it. And the reaction is priceless. That's just my thought. Okay, so I'm not even sure how to say this name. Rishke, or Risky, I'm going to say it as R-C-I-S-C-H-K-E. I'm going to pronounce that as Risky. He says, or they say, what other capitals do you think we're going to get? Will we get a capital equivalent of a Starfarer? What about an Anvil capital warship? What do you think may be coming
it's
and
like
when?
6 questions in one, so let's just take it one step at a time.
Yep.
So what was the first one?
So first one is, what other capital ships do you think we're going to get? And I'm going to say, Execute, bring up your our grid. That's probably the easiest way to talk about that.
Bring what, sorry?
The 9-ship grid of, you know, the big ships,
hang on.
or the 9 new ships.
Can I just land first, and then I will? Yeah.
No, do it now.
I gotta land.
We have a show to do here.
Please proceed to side landing bay.
How old are you two?
That a grid of capital ships that we have and capital ship needs.
Yeah.
We've only got the...
We don't have ships
it
for.
only covers the industry ones.
It only covers the industry ships, but it gives an idea of what we're looking at. We do know there is at least in-game lore, there's a battle cruiser that's got to come, which can be flown. Whether we can own it is another thing, because it's going to be big and huge and kind of...
Yeah, you know, we have these conversations in some of the other capital communities like the Jump Club, and I think some of those early discussions of these capital class combat ships, the battle cruiser, destroyer, battleship, all that sort of thing, it's so difficult to really apply modern surface, ocean, navy terminology and categories to spaceships.
Yep.
Where you have something like the Bengal, which is kind of a battleship, but it's also a supercarrier, and and it's other things. And the Pegasus, which is going to be a large carrier. To me, from a player standpoint, the Javelin's a battleship, and it is so much larger with so much larger guns. I mean, it's so much more firepower than anything else players can own. I would call that a battleship. But in the UAE Navy terms, that's a destroyer.
I do think while
because
you
it's so
can't
much smaller.
do the sizes and stuff, I do think you can get general rolls down though, and we'll show you that with that grid thing in a minute when I get this ship stored.
And the other thing,
the
other thing to consider is that while we can't do that parallel of, well, battleship, I agree with you. I think that is basically a battleship in terms of what it is, and yet CIG describe that as a destroyer. And yet in the stretch goals, we've got the battle cruiser to come, and yet we don't know what that's going to look like.
And how
it
many
could
years
be-
ago were those stretch goals?
Sorry?
How many
Yeah,
years
yeah,
ago
very
were,
ancient,
were those
but-
stretch goals?
but-
I wonder how. Will they necessarily stick to the letter of all of the stretch goals or the overall intent of? Where when the stretch goals were written, we had maybe 20 spaceships, and now we have 180, and that doesn't even count a lot of the big UEE ships, and who knows what we haven't seen, plus what's going to come in the future. I don't know. It's really difficult to project future capital stuff beyond.
But I think in terms of, say, the battle cruiser, that is a ship we can control, but it's not necessarily a ship we can. In fact, I think they even said it's just flyable, which seems to say it's not a ship we will own. It's a ship that we can encounter, capture, or retake, and then fly around. But it'd be a type of ship that you would.
Well, here's a question about, in that vein.
Mhm.
There's been the old dream that carries over to all these people with the dream of capturing or salvaging a Bengal, and I wonder, have they even really completely rendered the entire interior of a Bengal where it could actually be used by players? And if you found a wrecked Bengal, the possibility of really repairing that and salvaging it to a playable state, because after all this time, they're still not even really done with a javelin interior. When the Bengal is so many times larger, we're going to be limited to a fairly small area of it to play in Squadron 42.
Yeah.
Will they ever really build out the whole interior of that ship? I doubt it.
I don't.
And I know that's probably sacrilegious.
I don't doubt that they'll do it eventually. But
I don't know.
I know that they talked about can't remember whether it was a Bengal, but I think for a javelin they said you'd need like half a dozen reclaimers to be able to salvage it.
Yeah, if you want to salvage it, would anybody really? Unless it's a complete and utter wreck like what we have on Daymar, most people are going to try to rebuild it.
Yeah, and it's the same with the Bengal. The Bengal is one of those ships that it'd take a mass to salvage, but it's also going to take a mass of ships to repair it.
But this is the image that Algared was talking about.
Yep, that's the one.
So this is kind of where we do, I guess you would call it speculation, but it is logic-based speculation that is high. So this is based on several things. So the first thing they've said, there's a ship in every category. Right, so that gives you small, medium, large, and capital. And this is where you've got mining ore, salvage, refining, and mining gas, right? And so basically all the ships in blue are ships that we don't have.
Or roles that we don't have yet. But
Yeah.
I bet we're going to get multiples in the mining ore category.
I don't disagree, but I'm just saying these are the ones that got a hit, yeah? So I'm again using logic, right? And so you can see here we've got the Orion.
Completely agree.
Yeah, and we got people that fight us tooth and nail over this shit. It's really weird.
Well, they're obviously not nearly as expert as we are. Why we're talking heads on the internet.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like to fight with people, but like it's rooted in
facetious.
It's rooted in reasoning. It's just to make it up.
Well,
I know
we've only spent how many years studying this project on a daily basis, and the ships are the number one thing that I think most of us really study the most of. It really fascinates all of us, and frankly, I don't know how we keep track of 180 plus spaceships. Like, when I think about it, it's just mind-boggling the amount of data to be able to if either of y'all saw a picture of any of the 180 plus spaceships, you may not know the particular variant, like which Aurora it is, but
yeah.
all of the ships. Yeah, it's.
Oh yeah, that's an Aurora. That's a Mustang. That's a Valkyrie. So I think we see that when we do fix my
so
fleet.
many ships.
So
Knowing their capabilities, knowing general range of cargo capacity and armaments and that sort of thing.
So did you catch this one, this updated one? By West Sage. He's done.
Oh yeah, I saw part of that. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Oh yeah, and I was just like, as you were mentioning it, the variants. Well, like there you go. He puts in every variant of everything, and
Rangers, the Hoverbike, the Rock. The other Rock DC is probably a little bit larger.
So,
all the Cyclones.
So you start to realize very quickly.
The G12s. Yep.
The G12s.
The Ursas. The great, awesome ship.
You guys are just going to name all of them, so stop.
Yep.
That's not what I put this up for. I was just trying to.
Execute's fault.
Yeah, I was trying to show that there are many different ships that have multiple variants and stuff like that. And I've even found in watching this, there's a couple that he misses. Because some people would say things like the Heartseeker and the Masters of Flight series of variants and stuff like that. So they really are just as much of a variant as the Aurora variants. I mean, out of five or six Auroras, the LN is really the only major variant that's not just really minor stuff. I think is the CL the one with more cargo, which we still really haven't seen the cargo in the Auroras yet. Until
the CL was the one that had the large box, and that's been retroactively changed. It's the same size box now as the Mustang Alpha has, and the others the other Auroras have a slightly smaller box.
What's the advantage of having the cargo version of the Aurora versus the base version?
Yeah, and it depends on whether the smaller one can take that. Yep.
Yeah, see, and that's what I meant. There's no Masters of Flight series Gladius or anything like that. There's no Pirate Gladius, so.
But the Pirate is just a paint. I don't think there are different components.
My whole point being, though, he's kind of picked and choose these variants. So I don't find this video 100% accurate. It was my whole point.
But it's still massive. But I think what you saw at the beginning of that video is Jorunn and I were just rattling off the ships without even reading the name. Is that it just emphasised what Jorunn had said. We've spent so much time. We can see a ship and go, oh yeah, that's an Avenger. Oh yeah, that's a. So I think that's an advantage that we've got over many others, and anyone who's been in a game for any length of time has got.
Yeah, because I watched a lot of the streams of some of the new people that have come in, and they're struggling to identify some of the most popular ships. Is like, yeah, that's right. It's like there's so many ships. Somebody who's coming in brand new to this, like it's difficult to identify even just some of the really basic ships that you see every day.
Yeah.
All right. He did mention something about the Starfarer as well. And that's why I brought up that grid, because that leads into things like the Nebula and stuff like that. So the Nebula would be the bigger version of the Starfarer.
I as a fellow spaceship enthusiast, internet expert, armchair person, I agree with your grid.
Yep.
I fully support it.
Cool. Thank you.
Not that you need my validation.
No. But it always feels good inside. Warm and fuzzy.
And he says, what about Anvil capital warships?
Well, man, I've heard rumors. I don't know about you, right? So I'll just say this, and then I'll let you speak, Jorunn. We've been hearing rumors of this Anvil capital ship for like 5+ years now. So what about yourself?
I have not heard any rumors from CIG. I hear the community constantly talking about these things, and this drives me absolutely nuts. Where these things that they percolate around the community, and somebody heard it from somebody else, heard it from somebody else. But the rumors, and then it supposedly came from CIG.
Well, the rumors started from that we first heard about were for people that went on tours. So
and saw
stuff.
and source stuff. So
I've talked to some of those people too, and like there didn't seem to really be anything substantiated there. You know, like going back to the 400 leak, I knew about that before the leaks people were putting it out there and the official image was out there, because I talked to people who went, and all of us who know people who go on the tours, it's NDA, but we, you hear about it, and they're generally not supposed to take photographs like that. And I think it really did a disservice to the 400 for that hideous photograph to circulate around, because it looked terrible. I thought, it's like, that is the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
Just so you
and
know,
now it is my favorite ship.
Just so you know, because I can talk about that, because back then I was with SC Leaks. That was shared internally with the people, but it wasn't to be released because it was too small and we couldn't prove that it was real. But then someone went and leaked it. One of the actual mods leaked that, and they never found out who did it, but it was down to about 3 or 4 people, and they were all highly suspect. But yeah, it wasn't.
And I talked to a lot of people who went on the tours there in Manchester, and they all described it. It's like, that's, and then it came around. It's like, yep, that's exactly what we saw. That's what they showed us.
Yeah. So yeah.
I always saw in answer to that.
I don't think there'll be going back to the original. I'm sorry to interrupt, but going back to the original question, I don't think that there's going to be an Anvil Capital combat ship.
We'll see. Because the other thing is, like, lore-based stuff, you've got Aegis is the old guard going out and Anvil's coming in. I just think there's so many Anvil ships we haven't seen. And I don't know if that means capital. I'm just saying the two major, I don't know, what do you call it, military manufacturers are Aegis and Anvil. And there's just so many ships missing from Anvil. Most of the Anvil ships are all the small ones we have at the moment. But
as a military ship supplier, the Valkyrie isn't really a combat ship as a dropship. I mean, it's the closest to a combat to anything that would be military combat. The Carrack is not a combat ship. The Terrapin is not a combat ship.
But they are military support in their function, just like the Carrack. The Carrack is a military explorer, right? So I'm not saying that you're wrong. But I'm just saying that I think that there are a lot more. All I said, if you actually listen to what I said, there is a lot more ships to come, especially bigger ones from Anvil. Because if you actually look at Aegis, you've got like Idris, you've got a lot bigger ships. We don't have a lot of big ships from Anvil.
RSI makes the Bengal.
Yeah. So I do think there will be a capital eventually from Anvil. What it is, I think you and I will both agree, we can't tell if it's going to be combat or it's going to be the military lunch serving equivalent. Come over and get your lunch, guys, from the Anvil lunchbox. I've got no idea, right? Oh. But yeah.
I would concur with that.
Yeah.
I think that it's unlikely that it's going to be a pure combat ship, but we probably will get a much larger Anvil ship in the future.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, if you go look at that, hang on, I had it here before.
No, the Odyssey is considerably larger than the Carrack.
I kind of think, or question, it's a matter of whether the UEE decides they need a new version of the frigate. In which case they may look at another manufacturer. Otherwise, they'll just keep what they've got. And it seems that Anvil really have got the fighter market, which is the area that seems to get upgraded the most.
That's an old one.
Whereas the old capital ships, or the capital ships, seem to be harder to break into. I remember when RSI, when they're doing the in-law of building the Polaris and saying how building a Polaris is much harder than just building a Connie. When you got to a certain level of ship, it's really hard, and I'm thinking, have you guys forgotten that you actually build the Bengal and the Pegasus? And so for me, it didn't work. But in terms of that logic, but the idea of being able to build bigger ships just seems certain companies are geared for that already. And
just to kind of show you here what I was trying to explain, like, see how this is a bit more filled out, where you've kind of got Carrack, Crucible, and then just shitloads of tiny things. There's no middle ground in there at the moment, and I think that's what we're going to see. Where also, obviously, we don't have anything really big. So I think there is room for a couple of ships above and a couple of ships in the middle. That's what I was trying to show you, Jorunn. But I think you agree, so it's all.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I do want to say though that I don't think that we're going to see as many really big capital ships
Agreed.
as a lot of people would like, because they take far too much work for how much money they get back out of them.
I think most of them will come if after release, if they do come. And based on what I've seen at the moment with the Idris and the Kraken, in that Idris Kraken size, at most, I think you would see 6 in total. And do I think we need 6? No, I don't think we do. But I mean, at absolute most. And that's just based on the very generalized theory of rock, paper, scissors, right? Because both the ones we have now are kind of support based, where if they do bring out something more akin to the Javelin, and if the Javelin falls into that 6, by the way, that means there's only, you could literally have 3 more and you're done. So yeah. Anyway,
and I think anything bigger will be more stuff we can see, but not necessarily control or run, and that's where that battle cruiser stretch goal is a concern, is a question. I look at that matrix you just had up of all the ships, and I find it hard to the current Javelin. But then you've got then if we've got the Retribution,
so
we know that's not going to be a player ship or get on. So
this is the one you're kind of talking about, Algared.
No, I was talking about the previous one, but this one works just as well.
So this one, this shows a lot of the capital ships more up in that upper echelon, and the 3 biggest on that screen, you have to earn in game as an org. You can't even purchase them.
Well, we certainly can't. I don't even think we'll even earn the Retribution.
Yeah.
Quadrant.
I think they said the Bengal was the largest. So yeah, but I do think
the Bengal's the largest we can get control of.
Yeah, the Bengal, the Pegasus, and whatever that was it a battleship? What was the one? It's on the stretch goals. There's a stretch goal
battle
on
cruiser.
The battle cruiser that Algared was talking about earlier.
We haven't seen
I don't
that.
think anybody's going to get a Bengal into operation.
No,
that's my feeling.
And even if we could, I think the UAE would be saying thank you for removing the Bengal.
Well, my reasoning on this is that there are so many people and so many large orgs and massive orgs that want a Bengal, and nobody is going to be able to keep that a secret if they find it and they try to repair it. And the amount of work and the number of people, if you have 2 people, you can only keep a secret if one of them is dead.
Yeah.
And a Bengal is never going to be able to keep secret. And as soon as anybody else finds out about it, you're going to have Test, Imperium, and every massive org is going to swarm it. And then it's going to be a constant battleground because every other org is going to be trying to take it. You'll never be able to repair it because it's just going to be
constantly damaged an
infinite jump down.
Unless there's 5 or 6 of them in the whole universe, then that might change it.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
We'll see. Like I said, I think when we find them, it'll be the UE coming.
Right, Algared, how many questions do we have left? Tons.
Yeah, tons.
All right, let's just rapid fire because
you guys did a lot of questions.
We do. We've just hit 3 hours, so I want to start winding
up. So limited respawn says, "How can you make money after release with the? My starting money is only 6,000."
Algared, you're breaking up, mate. I missed what you said there.
Okay, so limited respawns has a question. How can you make money after release with the BMM? My starting money is only 6,000.
Trading, running cargo.
Cargo missions that you don't put your own money out for. We will have those in the future.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that just be the same as how do I make money with a X ship if we've got starting money of 6,000?
Yeah, but I think the key part there is what Jorunn added.
Yep.
And he is correct. There are going to be missions in the future that you can.
Yep.
One of the problems there, though, is that your operating costs are going to be so high with that you probably won't be able to get a high enough level mission by reputation to be able to offset those costs. If that's your only starting ship, you're gonna have a problem because you're gonna have to work up your reputation as a cargo hauling contractor, and you got to start at the bottom and work your way up. and your cost will be very high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next question. G4 says, what are your guesses on the 2 unannounced ships coming soon?
Two, I don't know. Oh, yeah. We kind of skipped that one because it's just going to be speculation at the moment. All right, next one. Stop and
Okay.
Sniffer.
Stop and Sniffer says, will ship theft increase with the introduction of salvage gameplay?
Isn't that piracy, not salvage? Yeah.
Yeah, it's more piracy than salvage.
Yeah, I think once that core, because I've been waiting for that core gameplay loop, which is someone's doing something like cargo or mining or whatever. A pirate wants to go out. A pirate has to be able to find them, and then once it's stolen or whatever, someone recovers it or goes after the pirate with the bounty hunting or the escorting. All that, I think the last piece of the puzzle that we're waiting for is the scanning by pirates. Once that's in there now, that core gameplay loop will kick off, and it'll be a lot better than it is right now. But yeah, we're just waiting on the scanning at the moment, and it was initially on the roadmap at the beginning of the year before they changed how the roadmap works. So yeah, I'm waiting for that.
If by that he means that the theft of ships increased because you're actually munching them up and salvaging them and stripping them of parts and all the rest of it, then possibly.
And that may affect your LTI. They've actually said that in the past. If you keep breaking stuff, you can lose your LTI.
But if you're trying to use that as a rort, whereas I let you steal my ship and then you salvage it and then I reclaim it and then rinse and repeat, that's kind of sounds like insurance fraud, and that could have
and you will
consequences.
lose your LTI.
Yeah. Astro Gumball.
That's been stated.
Sorry, go on. So Astro Gumball says, didn't CIG say they wouldn't be tick mining crawlers, saying something similar? I believe that's true, because I remember people saying, but we want one.
Yeah.
And it would be cool to own one.
Yeah, I don't know that they will or won't. I'm not gonna venture on that. I think they'll make so much money by selling it. There's no point in not selling it.
Yeah, but back in the day, they said that they weren't going to sell it because it was basically exclusive to Squadron 42. But yeah, as you said, never say never with this game.
That's right.
Yep.
G4 goes on and says, will planets on Pyro have cities like the Stanton to live
No,
on?
not on war base. The only real landing zone at the moment is what's that place? Something station?
Ruin
Station.
That's it. Yeah, Ruin.
But they did say that there are like 50 outposts, those colonial outposts on Pyro 4.
Yeah.
So there'll be outposts, there'll be places.
Small towns, but not cities. Yeah.
No major.
There won't be an Area 18 or a
Nope.
equivalent, but there will be places you can go visit.
Jorunn, can I just ask, is he like cutting in and out for you as well? Because I'm hearing him.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to take over the questions, Algared. Just not to be rude, but you are breaking out quite a bit.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So where were you up to?
G4's question.
Since
9:14.
9:14. That one. Okay. We'll play. Yep. Okay. So the next question is by Mike Smith. How do you think they will balance and price ships after release? I personally think they aren't expensive enough in game. I know I'm strange. I think they'll do new concept ships, but any ship after that will just be earning game. So, like, if they bring out the Tornado,
I don't know that they'll sell concept ships for cash either.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I just asked my opinion, and I'm giving my opinion. But yeah, you give yours as well. Go nuts. So yeah. So you just think they'll sell them exclusively in game, do you?
Good, correct. I think that they will have an entirely different financing model after live. There's this whole misperception that CIG makes a ridiculous amount of money from selling spaceships. They don't really. They barely keep ahead of costs. In many years, they were running in the red, burning through the money that they were ahead of. It's a very poor funding model because it's very up and down for a business to run. I run the numbers on optional subscriptions. 300,000 people that opt in for a subscription to get some benefits, some UEC or UEC stipend on a monthly basis, because you can buy UEC. So those of us who put money in now for spaceships will probably buy UEC to save a little bit of time. And if I'll pay for a subscription for $25 a month. And if you've got 300,000 people that pay that, you're way over what they're making now.
All right, Algared, question by G4. Do you think that since the Mustang Alpha got a quality of life recently, that CIG will be doing passes on older ships and Constellation ships are so old, which is strange since it's always available? So basically, he's saying are they going to update old ships?
I would like them to, the fact that they've done the Alpha, that they do that, but I always come back to comments that John Crew has said in the past. Does it work in game? Can you use it? Is it flying? Is there a problem with it? And if the answer is yes, 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 no, or, and would we like to, then yeah, sure, they'll do it, but it's not going to be a priority. And they'll do it when they get around to it.
I think that's why they did it though too, because you couldn't actually do any cargo runs with it. So that's why it was done. It's simple. You answered answers it perfectly.
Yep. And that's the case with the Alpha. You couldn't a beginning person on a starter ship could not do box missions because they couldn't carry them, and so it needed to have that fixed so you could at least do box missions.
All right, real quick because I'm trying to rapid fire these. By the way, who are your favorite ship manufacturers and why? So Jorunn, who are your favorite ship manufacturers?
Everything but Drake.
Yep. Algared.
I'd probably be the same. Anything but Drake. Yep.
I'm everything. I like them all equally. I want them
Except
all
Origin.
to do. No, I like Origin. I just want them to be better. So I'd probably be the opposite of you guys, but I just want Drake. I want Origin to do more for their dollar value.
I should qualify mine. Anything but the Drake Steel.
There you go. All right. Feather McGraw's asked, do you think the Idris kit is worth getting? I'll let you guys answer that because I don't have an Idris.
100%.
100%?
Yeah.
Algared? Yes?
Yeah.
So there you go. That's a yes.
Space Battleship Yamato.
Yeah. David Rusin.
I thought putting that laser on the M was even a better, or even putting the automated guns on the Idris M was a better option as well because you're reducing crew size.
Paige Nuss asks, Algared, are you planning on landing one of your javelins onto a planet?
No.
Right. Because you can't land them on a planet, but anyway, that's crash landing.
He's picking up the Admiral.
Yeah.
I want the pension of Admirals to land Idrises on planets. No.
David Rusin asks, I want LTI on my old game package, Connie. What will happen if I just melt the Connie? Yeah, well, you'd lose it.
You buy more. You'll pay more.
And especially some of the really old ones, if they have physical goods, they're worth a lot of money. So I wouldn't recommend melting them.
Yeah. So if you melt one with physical goods, you cannot unmelt. So you'll lose them.
All right, rapid fire. Edrich Low Smith says, how close are we to the insurance system being tightened up? I think they kind of need to
long
expand
way
it
away.
first. So I'd say a fair way away.
The insurance system?
Yeah, so they've basically said that they're going to have different levels of insurance. So you'd almost almost manufacturers for insurance. They've also said you can do different levels. You can do different
your base, your components, your add-ons, your cargo, all those things.
Yep. You got me. Yep. Yeah, so that's a fair way away. All right, I'm trying to do this rapid fire and it's failing miserably.
But even with ship hull insurance and LPI, tightening that up,
NCIS, I cannot pronounce that guy's name. What other capitals do you think we're going to get? I think we talked about this already, so I'm going to move on. Corey Thompson said they think they'll expand quest chains. Yeah, definitely. That's all behind server meshing. Would you guys agree with that? Like more quests will come when server meshing rolls out and we've got more bandwidth to work with?
An infinite expansion of quests and chains and complexity and one leading to another. Yes.
And when we've got nav mesh in there as well, it's going to add to that, or targets are going to be elsewhere. So
another question about the release of the Perseus. We talked about that before. SA asks, if you have a pet cat in your ship and turn off the gravity, how long will you survive? Well, if it's in low gravity, the cat will just be clawing at nothing. But anyway, Sandgrover questions: will the Raven and Mustang and Amiga ever get LTI? Yeah, we've talked about this a few times, but I don't
love them to.
I don't think they need it though. That's the other thing.
LTI is overrated.
But how many people are really going to take their Raven and their Mustang?
Yeah. That guy with a really weird name asks, how
Whiskey?
can I get a Pioneer with LTI? Black market or grey market would be the
I
only
think
way at
black
the moment.
market's about your only option.
Yeah. Ash Magog?
Ash McGaw?
Do you think QT fuel usage should be effective by ship weight? Oh, that's a really good question. I think it would come down to components, don't you, boys? Because ship weight in atmosphere would increase the burn rate, yeah.
Yeah.
But in space, I would say it's purely the component size because it's not as much gravity.
Yeah, the Algared drive it creates essentially kind of a black hole in front and behind you, and I don't think that's necessarily going to be nearly as affected.
That guy asked that question again.
Yeah,
I mean, he must have asked that like about 6 times about the crucibles and stuff. So yeah,
Well, that's because people don't realise we will actually work through every question.
All right. Atlas Gaming asks, Chris also said that ship sales will stop the game release, so everyone buying in multiple capitals and kneecaps will likely not be able to sell on a second market. That will be closed too. Yeah, well, they haven't talked about that in a really long time. But they also did say you'd be eventually able to sell it to someone in game for credits. Right, and I think that's and yeah, someone will sell it in game for credits.
There will supposedly be a transfer tax when you sell a ship to somebody else, but the massive increase in value from your current cash price will offset that.
Will that stop people selling things on the grey market for real cash and then selling it in game? Minimal.
Carlton Westfield basically asks, what do you feel is the best solo daily driver? So I'll let you guys answer that. What's your best solo daily driver, Jorunn?
400.
400, Algared?
At the moment, I've been enjoying flying a Connie.
I think there's a couple of options there, but it really depends on the player and everyone. I'm finding when we did our daily driver episode, there was a lot of people saying, wasn't it a Cutlass? Why wasn't it a Freelancer? But I think you can solo up fairly high. Like, I'm a big fan of the Caterpillar, the MSR, and the Connie.
The 600 is a great solo ship.
Yeah. No, I think you're spoiled for choice, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Timble asks, currently I have a whole BCE Taurus and an MSR to have my progression set for cargo running. I have a little interest in landing for cargo on planets and none for retail. Sure. I think the BMM sets you up really, really well because it's expensive and you can earn down. So you could almost have the BMM and earn all those ships that you've listed.
Even though it does have retail shops.
Yeah.
And
I'll never use them.
Sorry, you never what?
I'll never use the shops.
Oh, I think they will have some more interesting things in the future, right? One thing Algared and I talked about is we're actually expecting at some point you'll be able to rent shops on space stations and run them as a player. I think that will be a thing eventually. If you think about how module they make things, Jorunn, I think shops on a station will be very similar to the shops on the Pioneer it's the same system.
At the absolute bare minimum, the Million Mile High Club is a shop on a station or a planet.
Yeah.
So they will have those types of places on for other people to have.
All right.
But if you think of your BMM, I think if you don't use your markets, you're ripping yourself. Because we know that the quanta will actually go to markets. And you've got loading time, when you're loading up your BMM.
I love it when we disagree, but then all of a sudden we kind of go, maybe he's right. Maybe I need to think about that.
When you've got your BMM loading up cars.
It doesn't mean if you own a ship that you have to maximize every iota of its profit capability. I just personally have no interest in running the shops. Like Drake ships are great ships. I have zero interest in owning any Drake ships other than ground vehicles. Dragonfly, Mule, love them. No ships.
Yeah, and everyone's going to have their own taste. I don't disagree with that at all. All right, Modi Daddy asks, do you think CIG will make more ships that are too big for landing in atmosphere, i.e. Javelin Orion? And my short answer would be yes. Would you guys agree with that? Yeah, yes. Jorunn, is that a yes from you?
I'm very hesitant about that because I have a lot of reservations about CIG making really, really big ships. There's no real reason other than Squadron 42 to make really large capital ships.
Technically, they could make a really small ass ship that just can't go into atmosphere and has no landing gear. They really could if they wanted to. So I think yes is the safe bet.
Possibly.
Yeah. All right. Con Crow GM asks, when is armor going to be a thing? Yeah, God, I've been asking that for years, mate. Jorunn, I'll let you answer that one because I think people are.
When is ship armor going to be a thing?
Armor, I think by next year.
Let's hope so.
Because they need it for Squadron 42. It's a priority to get there. And they talk about it on the monthly report, so they're making progress. But again, there's over 130 flyable spaceships that they have to implement that for.
And I think the important thing is not when, but how much it's going to change the game. Like right now, there's a lot of ships that look shit, but once you add armor, it's like, whoa, that totally changes what that ship's like. And some of the best ships,
everything.
Yeah, and some of the best ships will have shields and armor. There's a lot of ships in the game right now that are awesome and that have just got shields, but they don't have any armor. So yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Constellation, the Phoenix is supposed to be the best armored of all the Constellation line. How will that
armor?
Yeah. Russ Wilgus asks, will ships such as the Cutlass Black and MSR have the ability to hire NBC gunners?
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Namek asks, Google might not be the best tool. Okay, right. So that was an actual question. That was from you, Jorunn. Chaos Squall on Twitch asks, think we will ever see a capital EMP ship? What about pure combat support ship or one that shoots incoming missiles provided by shield regen? So that's a loaded question. But yeah, we've actually speculated about it. What was that ship? It was like the Manta Ray or whatever. You know, the big capital one you and I talked about, like a massive capital spy ship, basically, that hacks and does EMP and all that type of stuff. Could be, but again, just speculation at this point. Anything you want to add to that, Nemik? Just maybe, Jorunn, maybe just a maybe. I guess that's all I think it is.
Yeah, it was a very complex question, and I hesitate to.
Long story short, do you think that a capital EMP ship could be a thing?
No.
No. All right, there we go. We're down to the last three questions. So Nemik asks, no, that was actually a question about a question. Talking of capital ships, we still need an amphibious combat ship, aka a capital ship that is a platform for drop ships, troops, etc. to go ground vehicle size. Do you think? Isn't that the Bengal?
No, he's basically saying we need a assault carrier.
Oh.
No, the Liberator's not an assault carrier. If you think that, you're an idiot. I'm sorry.
I think it could be used as.
It can be used as.
I think a lot of people are going to use it as that because we don't have that sort of thing.
Yes, that's right.
The Idris kind of is in a way because they showed it landing in the Gamescom years ago, and you can load so many tanks and ships and troops and things on that. Yeah. I think the Idris kind of makes a good assault ship.
Yep. I think the closest we've got to
something in between the two
ship at the moment is the Idris. You look at the Liberator and you go, oh yes, it is. But then you look at what it's got and you go, oh no, it's not, because it doesn't have the support of the ships that are there.
Zero combat capability, also.
Yeah, zero combat capability, zero ship ability to refuel, repair, and rearm because hand fuel, hand repair.
Mo Daddy, we actually asked to answer two questions by you, mate. So he just asked if we've skipped his questions. So the last question is actually by Marek Evans. He actually asked if the question's ever been cut off. Do you guys think that CIG will reuse refining mechanics for luxury gameplay? I don't quite understand how refining turns into luxury gameplay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The only one I can think of is if he's talking about where you can put out the different types of materials inside your ship. You think that's what he's alluding to? Like, you know, I want marble here, I want a wood trim here, I want gold here. I think that is like...
It doesn't really quite make sense to me.
Yeah, maybe it's recycling the water from the swimming pool. You know, you need to refine it and purify it because I'm not sure. We'd need that. Marek, we do need you to since you are in the chat listening to us, I know that. Qualify that question for us. That would be a great help because
Mo Daddy,
we're not sure what you mean.
Mo Daddy,
Refining food supplies into cooked food.
Mo Daddy, you'll be able to go back and watch the stream when it ends. So you can go back and look at your answer.
Refining food supplies and cooked food. Yeah, I could see them doing that.
All right.
I don't see it as refining gameplay though.
Yeah, it's.
Well, you know,
I think we're reading. I think we're reading too much into it, and I'm gonna cut you both off. You have been cut off. We are coming. We're way over our normal 3 hours.
For the age.
I thank you for joining us, Jorunn, because I know you're only intending.
Sorry,
to
I
come...
talked too much.
No. I had 2 of you today that I had to discipline, but that's fine. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just as bad as you two as well. Yeah, you know, thank you for joining us. You're more welcome back anytime you like. Yeah, is there anything you... actually, I probably should say, can you let people know where they can find you, mate, on the interwebs?
So Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, I am on Twitch TV, the Yacht Club BC for Bar Citizen. Every Wednesday, we recap the week's news and events and screenshots and community content and just a good, fun hangout with the community, which is a lot of fun. And then on Saturday nights, I stream our Yacht Club community gameplay. Sometimes other nights, but I'm not really a streamer. I just kind of share what we do. Also, Jorunn_SC on Twitter, Star Citizen Jorunn on YouTube. I do a little bit of YouTube content now and then, need to do more, but yeah, mostly Bar Citizen.
And if they're looking for the Bar Citizen Discord, do you have a generalized link to that one?
Barcitizen.sc is the Bar Citizen website.
There you go. All right. Algared, is there anything you want to add?
Like, subscribe, hit that bell. Don't forget to be respectful. Leave comments. We do read every single comment. Ask questions in those comments. We will try and answer them. John, I'm sure, will pop in if you ask him specific questions and give his point of view as well. Tell us anything you think we've missed or where you think we're wrong. Don't forget, be respectful, however. If you want to go that extra mile, you can always support us on Patreon or become a YouTube member, as we saw at least one person do so today.
Yeah. I do have to add too, because of the Bar Citizen next weekend, I'll actually at this time be flying to Sydney, so there won't be a live stream from us next week, just because I'll be traveling. But me and Algared will probably try and record a show while we are at the Bar Citizen.
And I do believe we will have a Fix My Fleet that we will air or something
that's right, yeah.
Next week during this time, which will be a premiere. I will try my bestest to be there to chat with you guys. And
yes, so we did record that, I think, last weekend. So yeah, we've got that stockpiled, as Algared said, just because the stream will be missing. There will be a Fix My Fleet there for you guys to watch. All right, well, with that then, I thank you again for joining us, Jorunn. Hope you had a good time.
I had a great time.
Really good discussion. It was good to get your insights. I always like multiple opinions. Yeah, it was good.
Yep.
With that, he's been Jorunn. He's been Algared. I've been Execute.
He's been Execute.
And catch you next one.